And we are live! Hey everybody, and welcome to Chapter 1Con Chat. Our topic for this month is film adaptations, and we are going to get started in just a minute once we get another team member here. If you do not know what Chapter 1Con Chat is, once a month, members of the Chapter 1 Young Writers Conference team and our friends discuss all kinds of weird, awesome stuff dealing with writing and movies. And hang on a second. My roommate can hear us. Hannah, do you want to join us? Okay, we're going to invite Hannah to join us. Hear you, Mitch. Or do you want to just join me here?
Just join you next to you.
Okay. Hey everybody, this is Hannah. I guess at this point we should take that very well said. Okay. So, yeah. Hannah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I don't know what else to say.
Should we move somewhere where we can both sit down?
Okay. I can add my computer. I just didn't know how.
It's just I invite you
and then you run on a crazy goose chase all over Google trying to figure out how to add, and then somehow you magically find it. I'm still not even sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you send it to my Gmail.
Yes, is it just your Gmail?
Or to my other Gmail.
Okay, do you want to send it to yourself then? Hang on.
Okay. Sorry, friends. Just enjoy. That's me.
Look at that. Okay.
See you soon.
Alright, so while we're waiting for Hannah, and then Ariel should also be joining us, I can tell our excellent viewers a little bit more about the conference. So obviously we're doing this live chat right now, and we do one of these YouTube chats once a month, and then we also a couple times a month do Twitter chats where we have you tell us your opinions on things, and then obviously this one we're just answering questions. And it's all super fun, but the main thing that we do is that we run an annual writing conference once a year, and it is for teens and young adults, and it is for teens and young adults and by teens and young adults. All of our speakers are college age-ish or younger, and it's super cool and super fun. The conference this year is going to be August 8th in Chicago, well, just outside Chicago. We're in the suburbs because cheap. And it's going to be super fun, and you should come. Our keynote speaker is Kat Sang, who is the author of The Hybrid Chronicles from HarperCollins. And then we also have Taryn Albright, who is a freelance editor and also currently interning for Disney Hyperion, which is the coolest thing ever. She's one of our workshop leaders. Then we have a author whose debut is coming out next year, whose name is Ava J, who's also going to be speaking. And she vlogs and blogs and all kinds of awesome stuff. And she is an editorial assistant for Entangled Publishing. And then we have two more speakers that we're going to be announcing really soon. One of them we're just waiting for her to sign the contract, and then we can announce her. And then the other one we're still working things out with. But she's going to be really awesome, too. She's also our other workshop leader. And I'm super excited for the conference. I'm also super tired right now because I had my last final exam of the semester today, which means I'm done but also exhausted. So I'm sorry if I'm a little bit not as peppy as usual this week. And Kira, I feel like you're also going to be tired because you just started a semester.
Yeah, I'm definitely worn out. So yeah, it'll be exciting and tired.
Hopefully this means that we'll just get really slap happy at some point. Okay, hang on a second. I've got a couple things I need to look at. Ariel says, there's a chance it may not be on via video, possibly for a little while, possibly not for the entire chat. My camera is not working. But I do have another laptop with a working camera, but possibly not working anything else. Thanks to water spurting on it a few days ago. Ariel like spilled all over her laptop. It's really funny for me, but apparently not so much for her laptop. And she says she'll type her answers through Skype if she can't do Google+. So we'll still get Ariel's answers, even if she's not here. And then Hannah says, oh, wait, never mind. She's good. Okay. Just in a minute. I just got like a series of text messages. And so if you want to ask us questions, we'll have some pre-assigned questions that we're going to be doing. But if you want to also ask us questions for the chat, you can do that by tweeting at us using hashtag Ch1Con, which Kira has put up on the screen for you. Thank you, Kira.
Yay!
So while we're waiting for Hannah and possibly Ariel, Kira, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Kira, and I am the Associate Online Administrator for Ch1Con, which is a very exciting job, which I very much enjoy. I'm also an English major at BYU, Idaho.
Yeah. So if you don't know, I am Julia, and I am the founder of the Chapter 1 Young Writers Conference. And I'm the one who came up with that really terrible acronym thing that everyone hates. I just finished today my junior year at the University of Michigan. Go Blue. And I am a creative writing and literature major with a global media studies minor. Yeah.
So
that's me.
Fancy.
I like listing out my whole thing because it sounds so much more impressive than it actually is.
So I don't have a whole thing to list right now because I'm switching between the C's. So
soon.
I'm not anything except English right now.
I was like, so my grades are like starting to come in for the semester right now, and like all A's so far, yay! But what was really interesting, I was like looking at parts of my transcript I've never looked at before, and one part of it said that I used to be an arts and ideas major, and I was like, when was this? Because I never declared that. They just like threw it on there for the heck of it, and I was like, well, if you want to just like add that back in, I'd love to add a major. Like, yeah, I feel like we're both kind of like in these weird transition periods where I'm not sure if I'm going to be upgrading my minor to a major or not, or like I might be doing that this summer. I might not be. I don't know. Depends on how much work and where I'm living for the summer. But
then I just decided that I don't want to be a creative writing emphasis anymore because creative writers are snobs. No,
it's true. We all suck.
No, I didn't realize at the college level, I should have probably, but I didn't realize they were going to be so focused on adult literary fiction all the time, you know? And like, I love reading that because I love reading everything, but my one true love for writing is always going to be YA Lit. And I had joined the emphasis hoping that I could work on that and that I could be with other people who had the same interest, but they won't let you work on that, apparently, in the creative writing major. You have to write literary, which made me angry. And so now I'm switching just to regular literary studies, hopefully. And I'll just keep writing my YA books myself because yay!
Hannah's having some trouble joining, so she might not.
Of course she's having trouble.
Google Plus is the worst thing ever.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but for anyone who doesn't know, studying creative writing in college is like, it can be a really awesome decision and also a really terrible decision because automatically, if you're like into like young adult fiction or middle grade or anything children's literature, really, there's a good chance your professor is going to think that you're an idiot.
Mine even get mad at like normal genre fiction. They just like, they'll just be like,
same. Like,
they're like, I want to write fantasy, and they're just like,
Yeah, if you're not writing like straight up contemporary literary fiction, then they are not having it.
I don't even know what that is the problem. It's like, what do you write about? Like war and sex? Is that what that is? Like, I'm not even sure.
So I've been taking creative writing classes basically nonstop for 3 years now, and I'm about to go into a senior honors thesis on it. And I'm like an expert on this topic now about what to write about to pass creative writing. And basically, my professor likes it when I write really depressing stuff, where it's like if somebody's parent has died, or somebody is dying of cancer, or like I'm trying to think, like one of them was like a girl's house is about to burn down in a forest fire. Like, these are the things that I have to write about for my professor to like it. And the funniest thing is that I wrote 2 stories about suicide this year, where I was like, I've exhausted all other topics. I need something to write about. I haven't written about suicide yet, because that's a great opinion to have on it. And like, I turned in the second one at the beginning of the semester, and he gives it back to me. He goes, "Wow, this is a really good story, but it's really dark." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, you're telling me it's too dark?" And I turned in another story later this semester that, like, I'll admit it wasn't the greatest story, just like as itself, because I was really tired when I was writing it. It didn't have much of a plot or anything. But I was like, I needed something to turn in. And so it was like this really light, fluffy, and like happy-go-lucky piece where I actually posted on my blog a couple weeks ago. It's called "The Fall in Our Popcorn."
Oh, yeah! That was great.
Well, my professor hated it. And he's like, yeah, it's not up to your usual standards. It doesn't really have much substance. And I was like, you said I was writing stuff too dark earlier this semester. Now I'm too light. I don't see the in-between thing here.
Yeah, I don't think I'd recommend creative writing major, but if you're cool with doing literary fiction a lot in the class, then yeah, sure. Just not if you were like me and expecting to get to work on your YA novels all the time, because that's what I thought. No.
Ariel is saying that we should have to write about a professor having an affair, and within it, everyone has to be white and male, and it has to be excruciatingly painful to read. That is literary fiction.
And when women exist, they exist pretty much for sex, yeah? Because that would be the other thing that would go along with, yeah, okay. White men!
White men! Anyway, we should probably move on to film adaptations in a second. It looks like it's just going to be the two of us because Google Plus is a jerk. Oh my gosh, why do we have 23 notifications on Twitter?
Because Brett and Aisha are talking about grilled cheese and children.
Brett and Aisha, go away! I need to know if somebody's asking questions for the actual chat, not talking about grilled cheese. Although, also, I had grilled cheese for dinner, and it was delicious.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions in here, just grilled cheese.
Oh my gosh. Why am I not surprised this is happening with our friends right now? And now Hannah's she's texting me saying that Sia has a new music video out. So I think we should all have a group watch of that after the chat's done.
Is that how you say her name?
I have no idea.
Sia?
That's how I say it. I have no idea.
I've always said Saya, but like... Yeah.
I also say Lordy instead of Lord, so like, who knows?
I always wanted to say Lorday. Like...
Lorday. Alright, hang on. I'm going to share the link to the YouTube video on Twitter, and then we can get started, seeing as we've been going at it for like 20 minutes now, not doing anything worthwhile.
Excuse me, I was enjoying our conversation about creative writing and how horrible.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm getting endless text messages now about this music video.
Wow. Oh no. Apparently children eat like full-grown linebackers, in case anyone was curious about that. Thank you, Aisha.
Oh my gosh. These are the things we're learning instead of talking about writing. Alright, tweet is posted. So, I guess we can get started now. Oh my gosh. There are like 10 text messages between my roommates because we're in a group chat and just like freaking out about this music video. You should know that we're all really big Sia fans and regularly like dance really awkwardly in our living room acting like we're in a chandelier music video.
Wow.
Anyway, so
my roommates were go ahead.
So what were you gonna say? I was like out of stuff.
I was just saying my roommates were just an hour or so ago screaming like it was the apocalypse over Criminal Minds. So you know.
Oh, nice.
Anyway,
yeah.
questions.
Questions. Okay, so as mentioned, we are discussing film adaptations this week, and you can tweet at us using hashtag Ch1Con, which should be somewhere on your screen over there-ish. If you want to ask questions, comment, talk about grilled cheese, whatever, just go for it. So question number
grilled cheese.
Yeah. Question number 1: what are some of your favorite book to movie adaptations?
Wow, I should have seen that question coming. I like the Hunger Games. Not the first one so much, but the more recent ones. The Catching Fire and Mockingjay. The first one I don't think was quite as good.
Yeah. I remember like walking out of the first one and my friends were like, that was amazing, and I was like very disappointed by it. And it wasn't that it was a bad movie, it's just that I had higher expectations than it met. Like it fell short of my extremely high expectations.
Yeah.
But
I wanted more PETA.
I wanted more of everything, really. I loved my favorite thing about the movie though was the fact that going into it, they're like, yeah, we hyped up the romance to get the Twilight audience interested. And then you walked in and it was so much less romance than it was in the book, and I was like, what is this? It's a mess.
No, yeah. Most of the Harry Potter movies are pretty good, I'd say. A little disjointed if you watch them all together, but like, yeah, separately.
The funny thing with those is I never noticed how disjointed they are anymore because I've seen them so many times and read the book so many times. I'm just like, I know everything, so I'm like, I'm fine. Then if I watch them with someone who doesn't know as much, they're like, what is happening right now? Ariel
Honestly,
says, sorry, really fast. Ariel says The Hunger Games and A Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe are her favorites.
Oh yeah, that one was pretty good. Yeah.
See, the thing is, I don't have the Wardrobe.
I'm not very picky about film adaptations. Like, obviously, The Hunger Games I'm obsessed with, so I did have high expectations for that. Same with Harry Potter. But for other movies, like, I don't know, there's been a lot recently, like The Fault in Our Stars and If I Stay and all kinds of stuff. Divergent. And like, I don't really mind that much usually for them if I'm not like super duper uber obsessed about the books. Like, I'm good. If you tell a good story, it'll be fine. There's just a few things that will throw me off. Like, I wasn't happy about the way that The Giver ended in the movie, for example.
Oh my gosh.
If you mess up like the series, like don't mess up the plot so that like next books or whatever aren't gonna work out. Basically, is the main problem I have.
Yeah. That's really, like, Percy Jackson did that too, where they just, like, completely screwed with the plot. And I was like, I love this movie. It's so terrible, but what are you doing?
Yeah, Percy Jackson was pretty... Yeah.
So Ariel says she thought The Hunger Games was very good. Maybe it's just she had low expectations, but it was done very well. The Avoxes might have been nice to include. I agree. I would have liked to have the Avoxes there. They're kind of like glossed over in the later movies.
Yeah.
Like, so I would have liked just to have them there a little bit in the first one.
Yeah.
She says of Harry Potter, the first 2 are good, the next few are fine, but Deathly Hallows Part 2, grr. Do not get me started.
Really?
I can write you a thesis paper on a movie, an angry thesis paper.
Wow. I was not that angry about it at all. I thought it was pretty good. I was mad at them leaving out a lot of Dumbledore's story. That was the thing that made me mad about Deathly Hallows, but because I thought that was super important. But
yeah. I really Deathly Hallows in general, like I like those movies, but then like sitting through Deathly Hallows Part 1 is annoying just because it is so much of like the lead up to Part 2. But then Part 2, like at the same time, doesn't have enough to it to also be super enjoyable. So like I'll watch them, but they are definitely not my favorites.
Yeah, I could see
what
that.
I find interesting is that Ariel really likes the first 2 and then thinks it like goes a little bit downhill from there. And what I find interesting about that is that the first 2 are super, super accurate to the books, like practically line for line adaptations. Nice. And then the third one, they got a new director and completely changed how they're doing it and made it much more like cinematically better, but then took away a lot from the books.
That's true.
So I actually I prefer the later ones because they're easier to get through from like a movie perspective. Like the third one's my favorite.
The third one's a lot of people's favorite.
We discussed that in my fantasy literature class, actually, why that's everyone's favorite. It's because of the way she handles the time travel element. Apparently, if you look at it from a psychological perspective, it's like a very comforting way of doing it because it shows them fixing their own problems.
I just like the Marauders, but okay.
Yeah, I also like that, though. I like the fact that it's like that's the one where the wheels really feel like they're first getting set in motion to start the rest of the series. The first 2 are like you could read them independently, and then starting with the third one, like you need to have everything in order to like build up to the end of the series.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The one thing I would say about the third, if you're saying that it's going downhill there, is Michael Gambon. Like,
yeah, no, that kind of ruins things a little bit.
I liked the first one so much, and then he died.
How dare he? Like, they should have been like, no, you're stuck alive until the end of the series. The fact that new Dumbledore didn't even read the series, so we just didn't understand the character. Like, Ariel's got like this whole rant, so I'm gonna read this out loud because it's pretty great.
She's saying something about pistachio gelato on Twitter as well, so that's exciting.
Yes, it is. So, it's funny too. She started with, when are we going to get to the elephant? Oh, there we go, Percy Jackson. We got to mention Percy Jackson at some point. Okay, so she says, okay, get ready. You don't need to say all this BTW, but we're going to because why not? So she says, Remus and Tonks are barely mentioned. The deaths of Fred, Remus and Tonks, Pettigrew, Moody, all of them emotionally just not there.
That's true.
And then she agrees, Prisoner of Azkaban is good. Alfonso Cuarón is fantastic. It's not as accurate to the books, but it's very well done. Where was Dumbledore's backstory? So important and so ignored.
Yes!
Terrible. I would have preferred a Harry Potter musicals version of the King's Cross, to be honest. And the final battle, oh gosh. A Harry Potter musical has my heart.
I haven't seen the whole thing.
The way they kill Voldemort, though.
Yes, well, yes.
I could write a term paper on that one. Guys, I've written, so far in college, I've actually written literally two term papers about Harry Potter.
No, I want to do that.
I've written other papers as well, but my biggest achievement is the fact that I've managed to squeeze 2 term papers out of Harry Potter. And all of my term papers, actually not just my term papers, all of my actual major papers I wrote this semester talked about Harry Potter. Not on purpose, it just happened.
That's because you were taking a fantasy class and stuff, though.
Yeah, so it made sense for my fantasy class because we read.
We don't have one. I'm sorry. Take that.
Yeah, we've discussed Harry Potter in 3 out of my 4 literature classes that I've taken for my major. But then what's interesting is the fact that I also wrote about Harry Potter for my New Line Cinema final. Which New Line Cinema obviously did not make Harry Potter. I wasn't even talking about Lord of the Rings, which you would think would be like the parallel between them. I was talking about Hairspray, like the musical Hairspray, because it came out 2 weeks after Order of the Phoenix, I think.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting because Hairspray was the first movie musical that was like released during blockbuster season in like 30 years. And then also it was released just after a Harry Potter film. So I was like, what were you guys thinking doing that? That's a terrible decision. But it worked out for them because Harry Potter obviously made a bunch of money, but Hairspray also made a bunch of money and like made movie musicals after it like a possibility to be a big thing. It made Mamma Mia and Pitch Perfect and all that possible. So it's really weird. It's really cool. I wanted to go on longer than the paper required, which is saying something.
Yeah.
I'm just such like a book and movie nerd that like I will just like talk about like box office sales and all that endlessly.
That's so fun.
Ariel's back into her ranting about Deathly Hallows Part 2. She says, Harry and Voldemort are not meant to fly around. They're meant to have a talk.
That's true.
That love
That's
thing.
true. Okay.
The Princess
I'm
Tale is
probably
so
not
underdone.
thinking-
Oh, that's interesting. Snape
Yeah.
cradling Lily? No, so much is skipped over that gave Snape's character depth. That way Molly killed Beatrix is awful. The deaths of Bella and Voldemort puffing to feathers or whatever. That's nonsense. Where was Harry talking to Dumbledore's portrait? Luna saying blibbering humdinger. Harry jumped out of the cloak way too fast. It was supposed to be to protect Molly, and they were meant to be in the Great Hall. I agree. It just like messed up that entire sequence of events there.
That's true.
Like-
I guess the part I really liked was where they were putting up the shield over Hogwarts and it was all epic and I was just like, wow. That was earlier.
My favorite, I have to say my favorite moment, one of my favorite moments in the series happens in that movie, and it's when McGonagall is like animating the statues to move. They're looking all kicked on, and she's like, I always wanted to use that spell. Like, yes, McGonagall.
Yeah. I love her.
And Ariel says, oh, and the Grey Lady scene was awful. And finally, not that this is all, the Elder Wand. You all know what I mean, and I do know what you mean, Ariel. The Elder Wand was terrible. I want to slap Harry so bad.
Yep.
Okay. Kira, do you want to list some of your other favorite adaptations now that we're done ranting about Harry Potter for a moment?
I really just like, I don't know. I really can't think of anything else in particular.
I don't know. There have been so many adaptations lately. And I actually, I wrote about film adaptations for a term paper last semester. I like studied them a lot, and like film adaptations have been really huge since like the very beginning of cinema, where people like, it's one of the first things people did was start adapting stuff from books and musicals. Especially once sound came around, then everyone went crazy for musicals, so they just took everything from Broadway and put it straight into films. But I guess like recent.
Sorry, I should not interrupt you.
No, it's fine. I've been talking endlessly.
I'm just so rude. Okay. I could say like superhero movies is an adaptation if you're gonna be technical, and I really like superhero movies.
Yeah,
so
I
there's
love
that.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like superhero movies are one of my favorite genres.
Yeah, mine too.
It's interesting though, because I can't do the comic book thing. Like I've read a couple comic books and a couple graphic novels, and like I understand the appeal, but it just doesn't work well with my brain. Where like I just
like
can't
it
read them.
I have a hard time finding, like, graphic novels I can find pretty easily. I have a harder time finding comics for some reason, like superhero comics.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten the chance so much. And I know a lot of them get really weird too, is the thing. Is that when you get to movies, like, they've got to keep it a little more toned down for the major audience. But then you get into comic books and it's like, alternate universe number 362.
Oh my gosh. That's also amazing though, because I love when people like, because like I'm a huge I'm a huge nerd. Like I will go through and like read all of the like stuff where people are like, oh, if you're a really big fan of Spider-Man. This is what's going on right now. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna read it anyway. So I was reading all the stuff about like how they're drawing source material from different versions of the Spider-Man universes, the Andrew Garfield films, and I was like, I don't understand what this is, but this is great.
I know the basics. When you start getting into all of the like alternates where various women have had children and died or been cloned or whatever, then I get confused.
What I find, I think my favorite thing ever though is the whole like Peter Parker clone thing, where like, is he the real Peter Parker? Is he just a clone? Nobody knows. Who's the real Spider-Man? Like, what is happening?
Oh gosh.
What I will say though is that the upside to not being a comic book fan is that like I get to have, when I'm not the idiot who goes and reads all the stuff describing what's going on in the comics, like on like BuzzFeed and Hypable posts before I go see movies. Like I love the fact that I can still be surprised by what's gonna happen, and then like obviously if you're watching like an origin story of anything at this point, you know what's gonna happen. Especially Spider-Man. Like, how many times have you watched Uncle Ben die?
Especially.
But it's like nice when you get like Captain America: Winter Soldier. Like, I have this weird love for the Captain America movies where I know everyone else hated the first one, but I love just stupid campy stuff. So I was like, this is fantastic.
He's my favorite superhero.
It's funny because I don't like him that much as a superhero.
Really?
I really like the movies. The second one like threw me for a loop though. I was like, what happened to my camp? This is so intense.
Who's your favorite then?
Spider-Man. I'm a huge Spider-Man person. That was like he was my first superhero. My grandparents took me to see Spider-Man 2 when I was like 8 or 9, whenever that movie came out. It was the first superhero movie I'd ever seen, and I like fell in love. I was like, "This is amazing!" And I like had to go and watch the first one, and then the third one came out, and I was like so excited. I've been into superheroes ever since. So, however, I also really, really love Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. I'm not a big Batman person outside of that trilogy.
Yeah, same. But that was really, really stellar.
Yeah.
Interstellar.
Oh, I see what you did there. It's almost like you inceptioned the idea into my head. Okay, so just really fast, I guess, a couple of the other book to film adaptations I've liked recently. Obviously, we talked about the Hunger Games trilogy a lot, and Harry Potter. I love those movies. I didn't think Mockingjay was the greatest, but that's just me. I'm super hyper critical of everything. I liked the first Divergent movie. I thought Insurgent sucked, but that's a topic for another day. And that's fine. Like, it's fine. We've had this discussion before. It's fine to like something that it's fine to have different opinions on things. So we go into movies looking for different things. Yeah. And like as long as it fulfills what you're looking for, like it's great to like something. So like if we're giving you recommendations, dear viewer, randomly behind our screen there, you know, like it's okay to like something that we don't like, and it's okay to not like something that we do like. Like, and that's the thing about everything.
We are the gods of movies and books. Our word is la.
I really liked Fault in Our Stars this past year. I know that a lot of people didn't like it that much.
I did.
Yeah, I loved that movie. Not enough that I like. It's not one of my favorite movies or anything, but I did see it 3 times in theaters. 2 of them at event screenings because why not? Like that's how much I was into it, is that I was willing to go see it before it came out, and I could talk to people about it twice.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the Paper Towns adaptation.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's my favorite John Green book.
I was trying to show my brother the trailer, and he's like, "No, I don't want anything depressing right now." And I was like, "But John Green."
Other ones. Back to what Ariel was saying earlier. I loved The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I also really liked Prince Caspian. Like Those two Narnia movies are pretty great. I feel like, excuse me, they aren't super accurate to the books, especially Prince Caspian, like, makes up a bunch of stuff. They're like, this will make it more commercially viable in today's market. Let's go for it. I enjoy it. I'm fine with that. I love the book. I love the movie. I'm okay with them being different. However,
I wish
going
they
to the
made
Dog
the first
Shredder.
one.
Ugh. Yeah,
I wish they make the first
they're
one.
supposed to make it. Magician's Nephew is supposed to be made. I don't know if they're actually doing it or not, because I think their funding fell through for the series. Because they started out with Disney, and I think Walden Media was making it with them. And then they did the first two, and then they dropped it, and then somebody else picked it up, like a smaller company picked it up for the third movie. And then I don't think they made enough money on the third movie to justify making more of them, but they're still talking about making more of them, and I'm like very confused by what's happening with that series. And now it's been like forever since the last movie. Like, that was back when we were in high school. I don't think that's happening.
Wow, so ancient.
I mean, that was at least like 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
Yeah. Wow.
It really was ancient.
I'm still a teenager.
No, you're not. We're old.
I don't want to be 21.
The only part about being 21 I've enjoyed so far is being able to just like flash my ID at people and be like, I'm totally old enough to buy alcohol now. Who cares if I don't like it? I just want to say that I'm old enough. Otherwise, I'm gaining nothing by aging at this point. I need the like Asia Adeline thing to happen where I just get flashed by lightning, like, boom, done.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. We've already talked about this a little bit, but what are some of your least favorite adaptations?
Yeah, Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson. I think The Giver, as we already discussed, was terrible.
Yes. Yep.
See, the thing is too, the thing about Percy Jackson is that I haven't seen the second movie, but the first one I loved because it's a terrible movie. It's not at all accurate to the book, and it's just hilariously bad. Like, you can just sit there and make fun of it, and it's great. But as I mentioned, I'm really into like just like crappy movies and crappy TV because I like making fun of stuff, and that's how I get my pleasure. But one of my film classes was discussing like what are the TV shows that people watch right now, and everyone else is like, oh, you know, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, and like listing all these like super like actually good TV shows, and it got to me, and I was like, I watched Once Upon a Time and The Flash because I like making fun of them.
I like Once Upon a Time though.
I used to like it a lot. I thought the first season was
definitely gone down in quality though.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now I watch it immediately because I just feel like it's gotten so just kind of like I feel weird saying it's gotten cliche because obviously it's like all these like classic fairy tale stories, but it's gotten to the point where they're just repeating storylines or like destroying past storylines in order to make new ones. I'm like, oh, guys, it's time to put the show to rest. Let it go.
You've got a point. Let it go.
But also remember that these were the people behind Lost, and we all saw how that one ended. So I don't have much hope for this show at this point.
Yeah.
Ariel agrees that Percy Jackson and The Giver are terrible. I saw The Maze Runner. I know a lot of people actually did like that one, but I thought it was really bad, and that's another one where I enjoyed it from the perspective that I was making fun of it the entire time. But it was like good enough that I could appreciate it in parts, but then the overall, once I like when you put the movie all together, it's mainly me just being like, this is funny.
I liked it when I saw it in theaters, like a lot. I thought it was really, really good, and I was really happy about it. And then I went back and rewatched it, and like it gives you nothing on the second watch. The first watch could be amazing, but once you get to the second one, there's nothing. It doesn't add anything like it normally would, you know?
Mhm.
Like a lot of the times you can go back and watch movies and you'll see new stuff and it'll all become a little more like you just see things and it's more
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
And with the Maze Runner, there's nothing left after the first watch. So
It's funny because after I watched the movie, I went and reread the book, and like I really like James Dashner. The Maze Runner is his only book that I've read, but I have a couple others that are like in my to be read pile. But like I met him last year, and we like talked a bit, and he was really cool. So like I like him a lot as a person, and I loved the Maze Runner the first time I read it back in high school. But like rereading it, I was like, why did I like this book?
no.
And like I feel like it was probably I was in the wrong mind space to read it. I'd probably like it in a different like if I was reading it at some other point. And it's still like had me flipping through the pages super fast to see what would happen next, despite the fact that I just watched the movie and like I had read the book before. So like I knew what was gonna happen. So like it wasn't like a page turner, but it was like it was like I don't know. The writing style was just really rubbing me the wrong way, like rereading it. And I feel like
It's
a
not
lot
one
of
my
that
favorites.
yeah, I feel like a lot of the writing style got preserved almost in the movie too, which is an interesting thing because you don't see that a ton, but it's like the tone of the writing.
Okay. My foot fell asleep.
Arya says same, or no, that's Hannah. Hannah's saying same. Not Hannah here, different Hannah who's on that Skype chat, who is responding to Ariel talking about thinking Percy Jackson is bad in response to us.
So like roommate college Hannah, not her. It's crazy R Hannah.
Yeah.
Catholic Hannah? I don't know what to call her.
I can't call her what I call her. So I have a lot of Hannahs in my life for anyone who doesn't know. And I have different names for all of them, and I just like stick where I know them from in front of their name. And for this Hannah, the Skype Hannah, I can't say what hers is because it's like where she lives, and I don't feel like doing that to her.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, give me 1 second. My nose is running because allergies.
I need a drink, so I'm gonna go too.
Okay, we're gonna take a break, guys. Sorry about that. I'm back, and Kiri will be back in a moment. Ariel, I can't call her that because I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry, I know it's like disgusting how I keep blowing my nose in these chats, but I like have allergies from hell. Oh, I think we're getting a cat. I think Kira's gonna grab Spartacus, her little emotional support kitty. I'm gonna check Twitter while we're waiting for Kira to come back. We got some stuff. Ooh, Emma's got some good questions once you're back. Hey, Kira, can you hear me? Nope, she cannot hear me yet.
No, I can't exactly hear you yet.
Okay, Emma's got some really good questions on Twitter, and we can answer in a moment.
Okay.
Ooh, and then it's actually
Such
a really
long
good
week.
Because, hang on, Ariel like actually just said something that's in accordance with one of Emma's questions. Like this just worked out really weirdly well. So Ariel is saying, "Oh, you know it's a bad adaptation. I know there are mixed opinions on this one, but I highly dislike the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet." And I have not actually seen it. It's on my like to watch list, and it's on Netflix now, so it's gonna happen sometime soon. I love Leonardo DiCaprio, so I'm excited for it. All the regular English classes watched it in high school, and then mine was the honors English class, which meant that we weren't allowed to watch fun movies. Basically, we just got screwed out of all the cool stuff.
We only watched part of it in my class, mostly because we had to skip over the part where people were naked. So you know.
Fun times. And so Emma's question was, how do you feel about modernizations like She's the Man, Clueless, and the Lizzie Bennet Diaries? I love
them so much.
They're fantastic. Especially like primarily what Emma was listening there with like Shakespeare or Jane Austen. Like I love those because I have a really hard time getting through like actual Shakespeare or Jane Austen. Which sounds bad. I can watch Shakespeare, I just can't really read him or perform him. Jane Austen I can't read or watch.
I can read them, but I have trouble watching like the historical versions.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, I used to have a lot more trouble watching Shakespeare, and then I saw a really good adaptation of a performance of Mary Wives of Windsor a few years ago at a Shakespeare in the Park thing. And then it kind of like opened the world of Shakespeare for me. And then I like saw a couple other really good performances. And I realized really the reason I hadn't been able to watch Shakespeare very easily before that was because I was watching high school productions, which no matter what are going to be very good if it's Shakespeare, because you're going to have a couple like really awesome ones here and there, but in general, no matter what, but in general, they just aren't going to be very good for high school students. And it's hard to wrap your mind around that text. Once you get into like college and you have people who are like acting majors who've been studying Shakespeare for a couple of years doing it, or like
and who are like all definitely like into it, like they all really want to be there.
So, like the past couple summers, I've seen shows at the Globe in Stratford upon Avon a couple times. So you have like the Royal Shakespeare Company putting on shows. Sorry, but like so these are the people who are the best people performing Shakespeare in the world, and they're amazing.
James Dempster. I saw the early, the early viewings of Fault in Our Stars. I was at Stratford upon Avon.
Wow. Probably that's the best time to remind everyone that I met J.K. Rowling last summer. My last couple years have just been like really weirdly awesome. I'd like to point out that my life usually isn't like this. It's just like all of a sudden opportunities just keep throwing themselves at me, and I'm like, okay. Like I randomly was in London at the same time as Lauren Oliver this summer, and I was like, well, Lauren Oliver's one of my favorite people in the world. Might as well go meet her, right after touring Buckingham Palace randomly, like. And so just to clarify, my life is not like this. I am not one of those really super lucky people who has those things happen to them. It's just all of a sudden things have been happening lately, and now my life is going to be super boring probably for the next like 5 to 10 years to make up for it. And Ariel says modernizations in general are wonderful. Lizzie Bennet Diaries, for example, amazing. She recently watched 10 Things I Hate About You, which is based on Taming of the Shrew.
I love that one.
And her school is mentioned in it, so it's like required reading for Sarah Lawrence kids, which is true because that's the only way I knew about Sarah Lawrence before Ariel went there. I was like, wait, like 10 Things I Hate About You? And she thinks that's also fantastic. But sometimes modernizations can be cheesy and lame, as in that Romeo and Juliet version. What I love about 10 Things I Hate About You, though, what I absolutely love is that it changes the ending of Taming of the Shrew, which is I had just seen 10 Things I Hate About You before I went to England a couple summers ago for we did like a theater tour of England, so it was just like a lot of theater stuff for a couple weeks, which is fun. And we saw Taming of the Shrew at the Globe. Like that's the show we saw at the Globe Theater. And I was like, wait, what is happening? This isn't like 10 Things I Hate About You at all. The ending is completely different. The Taming of the Shrew ending is so sad. And 10 Things I Hate About You is like this classic 90s rom-com with this really awesome, fun ending.
Yeah. I haven't read it. I was going to read it. My professor said that I shouldn't, though, because he's like, no, I think it's terrible. It just makes me unhappy.
I mean, it does. It leaves you at the end like, what did I just watch? That was so sad.
Good to know.
It's like the characters like learn a good lesson in the end, but it's not like a happy ending at all. I mean, like, should I spoil the ending for anyone who hasn't seen it? It's Shakespeare. It's been around for forever. I'm not spoiling the ending by giving this away. So 10 Things I Hate About You has a happy ending, and Tammy the Shrew ends with the main character having her spirit broken, like just stomped all over, and then everyone like tries to get her to go back to being like her old, like very cheeky, fun self, and then she's just too broken to, and like it's just super sad. Where they're all like, "Oh, we shouldn't have tamed the shrew." Like, yeah.
Burr. Burr. Okay. Sorry, that's my cat.
Okay. I was like, what's happening?
I call him Burr most of the time nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, boo boo.
Oh, it's your kitty. It's your kitty.
It is my kitty.
Kitty. The kitty.
Ariel says she tried retaming the shrew in 10th grade, but then she skipped the ending and read the part where the Roman is like, I now know that a woman must be subservient for all time. And I was like, yeah, not happening. I'm not bothering to finish this. It's true. Once you know the ending, there's really no point in watching it. But yeah, modernizations in general are really awesome because I feel like even with like Percy Jackson, like the books more than the movies.
Yes.
And like Thor and all that, like when you're bringing like mythology and old novels and all that like into a modern day context,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it allows people to
Be
like,
really creative for one thing.
Really creative for one thing, and like it also for viewers and readers and stuff, like it allows you to have like this story taught to you in a way that you can understand like within your own life better, and which makes it easier, I feel like, to actually go back and like read the original stuff and like to be able to handle maybe the little bit like flowery and hard to understand the text. And I don't know, I love modernizations. I love Pride and Prejudice adaptations and all that. Like I can't read Pride and Prejudice though. Still, I've tried so many times now, and it just puts me to sleep.
I really like it.
Which is another thing. I know so many people who love Jane Austen, and I just like I'm sure at some point in my life I will be able to like get up the willpower to read Jane Austen, but it's just like beyond me right now.
I've read a ton of her stuff. I like it.
Emma wants to know what's more important to keep true, with true in quotation marks, in an adaptation, character or plot?
I think
That's
character.
an interesting one.
I mean, they're both important, but
yeah,
I'd say character.
I'm honestly not sure.
It does depend, like on which one was the strongest. Also in the book originally, like why are people going to the book?
Yeah,
you want to bring that to the movie.
I feel like if it's a character-driven story, then obviously like the character development is in like just character in general is to me the more important thing. But if it's a plot-driven book, I honestly feel like I'm a little bit more interested in seeing the plot played out properly. Especially if it's like a mystery or something, I'm more interested in the plot than the characters. Although also like like Sherlock is obviously a modernization of the Sherlock Holmes stories, and I watch those far more for the character than for the plot, because those mysteries are so easy to solve if you're paying attention to them. But if you're letting yourself be distracted by like the banter on screen, then like it keeps everything surprising and it's more fun.
Yeah.
Emma also wants to know if we like the Hunger Games. I think the answer to this one is yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that that's it for Twitter probably right now, that we have a billion more notifications. I'm assuming that all of these are about grilled cheese still.
Emma did want to know also about how we feel about adaptations that change the tone, like dark to light or light to dark, which we kind of talked about with 10 Things I Hate About You, sort of.
Yeah. I feel like it can work in certain contexts. It depends on
Yeah.
how well it does the tonal change. Like if you go back to the Batman stuff, Batman itself isn't that dark, but then when you put it in like the Christopher Nolan version of Batman, and I love the dark Batman universe. Like I think it's so cool. It's so well done. However, then and then also you have like 10 Things I Hate About You, which is hilarious and awesome, even though it changes a lot tonally from Taming of the Shrew. However, what I will say is that Insurgent, I feel like actually changed totally a lot from the book, which maybe isn't as obvious of a change, but that the book had a lot more just like emphasis on kind of like the fun action to it, where it was like it was dark but not like trying to be like so dramatically dark. And then the movie was just like very like we're gonna stare off into the distance now and like have this cool camera shot. And like, look at this dramatic thing, she's gonna die, and I was like, I can't handle this. Like, it's trying to be so dark with it that, for me personally, it didn't work as a change. But also, Kira, it did work for you. So, do you want to talk a bit about that?
Honestly, I haven't read the book in a while. So I was just thinking about like. For me personally, and I know for a lot of other people, I felt like the Divergent series did go down in quality, like the books, as time passed. And I was excited that they'd change things because I was hopeful that they would be able to, like, bring something better to it, especially for the last two movies.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not sure yet. I'm just hopeful, probably is the better word.
No, that's true. My main concern is that the director of Insurgent is going to be directing the next one. I don't think he's doing part 2, or maybe he's doing part 2 but not part 1. I know they split up duties on those, didn't they? I feel like didn't they split duties on those though so that they could produce them faster?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
because I mean that's what they did with Divergent and Insurgent. Because Neil Burger directed the first one, and I thought he did a really great job. I know a lot of people didn't like Divergent, but I loved that movie. And then Neil Burger was still working on Divergent stuff when they needed to start working on Insurgent, which is when they brought in the new guy, and I can't remember who directed it. I didn't like him, so I didn't bother to remember his name. And then I think he's only doing one of the next 2 Allegiant movies so that somebody else can oversee everything else. But I could be wrong. He might be doing both of them, but it's just that they have like different editors or something between them. Right. That's how they did Lord of the Rings, obviously. Like Peter Jackson directed all 3 movies, but then they had different editing teams handling each of them. Well, we should discuss Lord of the Rings a little bit. That's a big film adaptation we haven't talked about at all. I just saw the movies for the first time this year. I still haven't seen the last Hobbit movie. I thought Lord of the Rings was pretty good.
Lord of the Rings. I've seen the first 2 Lord of the Rings, and I've seen all the Hobbits, but I never. I was trying to watch them with my best friend. Best friend and I were watching them all because she loves the movies, and I hadn't seen them, so we were watching them. And then she went on her mission with my church, and so like I'm waiting for her to come back to see the 3rd Lord of the Rings with her. So
it's like it's good, but it's really, really long. And we were watching it for one of my film classes this semester, and I brought dinner, and I was done eating within the first half hour, and then I was just sitting there like, when's this gonna be over? Like, I'm enjoying this movie, but I don't have food anymore.
Food.
But what I think is interesting is that they really do change so much from the books for those movies, and we studied that a lot in both of my Lord of the Rings class at Oxford. We studied that a lot, but also in my New Line Cinema class we studied a lot, like how they change things between them and why. And it's really interesting because they're like, it was a very calculated move on their part when they did change. But I know that it made a lot of fans really mad that like things were changed from the books. But I feel like it worked, like personally. But I also like I'm fine with people changing things between them, like book to movie, as long as it works well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's a different art form, you know?
Um,
Are you talking like both of them? Because I haven't actually read Lord of the Rings. I've read The Hobbit.
oh, nice.
Are you talking?
So The Hobbit is a different story altogether.
Okay.
I enjoyed the first Hobbit movie. I know it was not very accurate to the book at all because they had to add a bunch. Because The Hobbit is a children's book, and they made 3 movies out of 1 children's book. Like it doesn't work that way. So I thought that one was like it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. But then the second one was like very hard for me to get through. I was watching it on my computer at Oxford, and like it was like a nice day up. I needed to watch it for class, and I was like, when is this ever going to be over? There's no plot.
The second one didn't bother me, but I had some questions about the third, which I know you haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I was gonna go see the third, and then I heard so many negative things about it. I was like, I'm just gonna wait for this to make it to Netflix.
Right.
Ariel's got like a whole line of things she's saying here.
Okay.
She says, I do get mad when they take serious children's books and make them silly just because they're children's books. Like some of Roald Dahl's books. Roald Dahl is tough because he is very whimsical, but he's also written very serious stuff.
He's very dark, honestly.
Yeah,
Roald Dahl's so terrifying.
And then Ariel she's like, the next 2 Allegiant movies, are you kidding me? There isn't enough material. It's seriously just Tristan 4 whining. I agree with that, but that's also what
I'm hoping they're gonna make it new.
The one good thing they did with Insurgent, what not necessarily good. I guess the one interesting thing they did with Insurgent is the fact that they changed the way it ends. So they left. I feel like they technically just like changed the ending, but I feel like what they're actually doing is leaving the material from the end of the book and gonna tack that on to the beginning of the first Allegiant movie. Because Allegiant as a book, like, is just there's not enough happens in it in general.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping. See, I feel like with Mockingjay splitting it in 2, it made sense, but then it just didn't turn out super well. Like they could have done better with it.
Yeah.
I have hope for Allegiant that it is going to turn out better because you know they're aware of the weaknesses of the book, and I feel like they're going to go through and improve on those. Hopefully, you know they're laying the groundwork to improve on it.
Emma was asking about the newest Annie adaptation. If you wanted to throw that in.
I want to see it so bad.
Actually, I haven't seen original Annie.
How have you not seen Annie? Did you ever watch it in school? Like,
no. Is that a normal thing?
We watched it in so many of my classes growing up. It was like one of our favorite things to watch when it was like a rainy day and we couldn't go out for recess. We watched it in music classes all the time. Like, goodness.
In music classes, we always watched, August Rush. That's what we watched.
Interesting. I never watched that. We always watched musicals. So we watched a lot of Annie. We watched Phantom of the Opera. Like we did
that a couple times.
We tried watching Phantom of the Opera. I was actually just talking about this the other day, where we would always start it from the beginning. No matter how many times we would watch the beginning, we would start from the beginning. So we never made it to the end of the movie. It'd be like the 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes of Phantom of the Opera. I know super well.
We would have like guys, like the guys in the back, just be like, "Yes, I'm going to make an evil bat cave and bring women there and seduce them."
Oh no. Ariel she has not seen the Lord of the Rings movies, but she has read the books. So this is interesting because I feel like a lot of people have seen the movies but not read the books, but not the other way around.
Me.
Yeah.
I tried so hard.
I'm trying so hard. I'm like
I finally got through the first book after trying 3 times. But I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad because I've now studied Lord of the Rings for 3 different classes in the past year, and I still haven't read the books. I think I have 100-ish pages left of Fellowship of the Ring, and then I'll finally be done with the first one. But it's like I've been reading that book for a year now. I think I started it at the end of winter semester last year because I knew I was going to be going to Oxford and would have to read it for the summer. And I was like, oh, I'll just read this all summer and like get ahead for the class. And then I read like 50 pages of it and then went and read a bunch of other books instead because that's the kind of person I am. And then
Lord of the Rings is really hard to get through, I feel like.
It's really hard. Tolkien's an amazing writer, but it's like
I think he's
so
horrible,
hard.
But
I feel like
I think he's a good storyteller.
Yeah, no, that's a better way of putting it. He's a really great storyteller, and his world building is incredible. You know, like the way he invented all the languages and all the like the characters, species, things.
Yeah.
So good. But the writing itself is hard to get through because he was a medievalist. So he was like, I'm gonna write like that's Beowulf. Like, no.
And then all the tangents.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate the world building, but I hate that he has to. Okay with you leaving it out and like you could do an encyclopedia like J.K. Rowling kept saying she was going to do but hasn't yet.
Like, hang on. Back like 2 seconds. Just you have to grab something to make a point.
Okay. But yeah, no, tangents. Tangents in Lord of the Rings is probably the reason I had the hardest time with it. And like my dad hates me for that, but I don't really care what my dad thinks, so that's okay. Oh dear.
Okay, so what I just grabbed from the shelf back there, that is my Oxford author shelf. And you'll notice that it's almost empty now because this much is Tolkien crap. Look at this. This is all Middle Earth. We have we have 2 books. This isn't even the whole thing. It's the other Lord of the Rings book. Fellowship of the Rings on my bedside table right now because I'm technically reading it. So there's the 3 Lord of the Rings books. There's The Hobbit. There's a Silmarillion. And then we have all this other fun stuff. Unfinished Tales by J.R.R. Tolkien, a dictionary. We don't need this much stuff. Like, I am the proud owner of this stuff, and I really do like Tolkien a lot, and I'm happy that I've studied him so much this year. But it's like, it's so hard to get through this much stuff of any author. Like,
this is making me laugh.
The Middle Earth stuff.
Like, Harry Potter is pretty big, and I'll read all of it. But I feel like that's different, okay?
Yeah. Just Harry Potter is easier to read because it's like, so you can argue that The Hobbit obviously is a children's book, so it's an easier read. I read
Hobbit, yeah, was easier, definitely.
Yeah, because it's written for children instead of adults. So if you have like stuff like Harry Potter or like the Percy Jackson series, even that also has gone pretty long at this point. If you include Heroes of Olympus,
yeah,
and like those are easier to get through because it's easy writing because it's for children. But when you get into stuff that's written for adults that like is that long, I can't handle it. Like I've been reading Cuckoo's Calling for like half a year now because I love J.K. Rowling and I love crime fiction, but like it's just so long.
That's true. I can't. Oh my gosh, I can't wait till you read the second one if you decide to read the second one.
Because that one's like reading it.
It's really dark and violent and crazy and so much.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah. No, yeah. I'm a little bit scared to read it too, though, because she was saying that like that the second one is the book that she first had the idea for the series with, and then she couldn't write it as the first. Yeah. So she had the idea for Silkworm, and then she's like, this book is too intense and too like. It requires too much like world development and character development and all that to be able to do it as the first book in the series. So she had to come up with Cuckoo's Calling and throw it in ahead of it. And so I'm like a little bit scared. Like this book sounds very intense.
Oh, it is.
Like talking about how she couldn't write it as the first book in the series because of it. Like so, yeah. No, I'm super excited to get to it. I'm also excited for the third one because she was saying it's like one of her favorite things she's ever written. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna get to what Ariel was saying in a second. But what's also really interesting is the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them adaptation.
Oh my gosh!
Because
Yeah, okay.
it's not a book with a plot, you know? It's just like this, like,
Mhm.
it's basically like a little encyclopedia of the like magical beasts in the Harry Potter world. And
Yeah.
it's super thin. It's like
It's not
this big.
really. It's not really an adaptation though. Like really, I don't know. I just feel like it's something totally different.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it's
so
it's like
do you
fan
count it as an
fiction,
adaptation?
but written. I don't know what to think. It's like J.K. Rowling writing her own fan fiction.
Basically.
Like,
I'm trying to think because there are other examples of people who have done that where it's. Do I have any of those books here? Because I'm not going to remember anything off the top of my head. But there are other books where an author like wrote a story about writing a story, and then Rainbow Rowell's doing it. Okay, Fangirl. Fangirl has the Simon Snow stuff in it.
yeah, she's writing one. That's right.
Simon Snow book.
Yeah, I thought that was weird, but yeah,
it's super strange. I'm excited for it, but I'm also like very apprehensive and very weirded out by it.
yeah.
Because like I love Rainbow Rowell, but I think it's gonna be like the weirdest book ever. And I'm also not sure how she's doing it without getting sued by J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, that's the thing I was wondering
Because
about.
Simon Snow is literally Harry Potter.
Yeah.
With the names changed. Okay, Ariel's got some stuff in here. She said, back to Allegiant, but seriously, where are they even going to make the split for Allegiant after Tristan 4 pointless fight number 5 or Tristan 4 pointless fight number 6? I knew where they're going to split it when I was reading it. Like, I was like, oh, this is obviously where they're going to split it if they're making 2 movies. But now I can't remember where that was. Veronica Roth herself, though, was saying that she wasn't sure where they were splitting it, and she thought that the only place where it made sense to split it was when they leave Chicago to go out into, like, Beyond the Fence, which is really funny, because that's within the first, like, 50 pages of the book, and the book's, like, how many pages long? So that's an interesting one, but the author isn't sure where they're going to put it. Ariel also said, this Lord of the Rings situation is because I refuse to watch a movie without reading the book, but Lord of the Rings takes forever to read, so I've never seen the movies. She also says that she's so excited for Fantastic Beasts, and she'll die of excitement. She will die, she will go to heaven, she will meet Dumbledore, she'll come back to see this movie. And then Fantastic Beasts is like the carry-on Simon of the Harry Potter world. Carry on, Juliet, carry on, carry on. You remembered our new road. Carry on is going to be a dream come true for Drury fans. And there you go. Carry On Simon is the real name of Simon Snow for anyone who has not read the Rainbow Rowell books. Let's see. We've got some stuff on Twitter.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies!
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, I love that!
I haven't actually read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, but I have a friend who took the Jane. So my Oxford program this summer had like a few different literature options you could do. So obviously I was in Oxford Inklings, so I was studying like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and all that. But then another one was Jane Austen, and I have a friend who took that class and like adores Jane Austen. And he, I think while we were there, was reading Pride and Prejudice and Zombies just for the heck of it. And like he loved the book and thought it actually really added something to the story. Like it was a very nice modernization of it. So I've never read any of those because I've always avoided them because I thought they looked terrible. But I'm willing to give him a chance now because like I trust his opinion. If he gave it the stamp of approval, I feel like it's probably pretty good.
I thought it was so great. I don't know. I know some people really hated it, but I read that and I read Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters too. I just love it. It's so like it's so smart. I think it's really clever. So.
No, I agree with that. I feel like some of them probably aren't so much, but I've heard about the Jane Austen ones that they're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And next, would we like to see a new Harry Potter film or TV series in like 15 plus years? I feel like not anytime super soon, but maybe
15
like
plus works.
15 plus though, yeah. I feel like the 15 plus is the really important part there. I think once our generation starts having kids who are old enough to watch stuff, it would make a lot of sense to readapt them, and I would love to see it as a TV series. I think the Harry Potter series would work really well, where you can bring in more Quidditch stuff and like more of the subplots with like the house elves and all that.
Yes. And make Dumbledore not Michael Gambon.
Yeah, basically.
I think that'd be beautiful. I'm a fan.
But, like, I feel like it could be such a good TV series because like our generation obviously loves Harry Potter, and I think once we have kids to watch it with us, like it'd be a really great like family TV show.
Yeah.
You know? Like the parents who loved it as a child bringing their own children to watch it. Ariel says, I will take any Harry Potter thing ever. If someone made a Harry Potter movie right now, I'd watch it. I mean, I would watch it too. I'm not sure if I would want to have something new so soon. I feel like I'd rather wait until our current Harry Potter people, like Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint. I feel like once they're old enough that I no longer quite see them as the characters so easily, that I would be much better about readapting it. We grew up with them, and they still look so much like the characters. I'm like, look,
they were talking about like it was some like if they did it again later when we're older, and like I think Felton's like, oh, and you can be Snape to Daniel. They're just like, do it again as adults.
Basically, just their entire lives will be Harry Potter. I know Daniel Radcliffe said that he has like no interest in ever going back to it. I think he's very sick of being the boy who lived.
Well, now he could be the Half-Blood Prince instead.
Yeah. Ariel is saying she wants a Harry Potter TV series. She says, Harry Potter TV series is all I want. Occasionally, I write Harry Potter TV episodes in my head in the shower. They should hire me. I know more about it than J.K. Rowling. Probably true. Ariel's like the biggest Harry Potter fan in the world. Next question from Emma. She says, what's more important in casting, looks or attitude of the original character? Looks can be tough and ethnic diversity and such. I'm all about attitudes. If they could play the character, I do not care at all what characters look like.
I do. It is very important, though, if it is a diverse character, to cast them as that, because that's a big issue.
That's the one time I care. I hate rewatching of Hollywood, but if you have like a character who like had blonde hair in the book and they have brown hair in the movie, like who cares? Like I know a lot of people do care, and I don't understand why. Unless it's like a big symbolic thing, then it's not important. What's important is that the actor can play the character.
Yeah, and that they really care about them, and
and then you get an actor who cares about the series, who like read the book and really right. Unlike some people.
See Michael Gambon.
And like you see like Jennifer Lawrence talking about how much like the Hunger Games series means to her, or like Shailene Woodley talking about playing Hazel in The Fault in Our Stars, and like it's so cool to see actors who are that into what they're doing and care that much about the material. Because it's not about the source material as much as it's about the story overall, you know? And Ariel says don't whitewash or like remove disabilities, but looks really don't matter if they get the personality well. I have to say this one thing that really annoyed me about Hunger Games. The Hunger Games. First of all, whitewashing. Second of all, removing disabilities. Peeta's supposed to have his leg amputated, guys. Come on.
Like, I know that doesn't sound that important, but as someone who has a disability, it's important. Trust me.
It's such a big part of the... I honestly think that's one of the biggest reasons I didn't appreciate the Hunger Games movie the first time through. because I kept waiting for the ending to be done properly, and then it wasn't, and so I walked out with this feeling like the entire movie just sucked because the ending wasn't the way I wanted it to be. Which, because like the whole point of the whole thing on the cornucopia is that Katniss has to decide between like what to do with the arrow. Like, does she make the tourniquet to save Peeta's leg, or does she shoot Kato and end the games? And like, it's this huge thing, and it's super dramatic and awesome and intense in the book, and then it's like it's just not there in the movie. And then of course there's like the ending of the movie is just completely messed up as well. I was like, what?
I liked where they included oh gosh, what's his name? Beard guy. I like how
Seneca
they showed
Crane. Seneca Crane.
Yes,
I loved his parts.
That was great, but
No,
but
the conversation on the train when Katniss and Peeta are just sitting there, and she's like, "I want to forget everything about the games or whatever." He's like, "I don't want to forget." And I'm like, "No, Katniss needs to like outright like explain like, wait, it was fake for the games." And then Peeta needs to be pissed at her and walk away. Come on.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't make Peeta okay. You know, people who have seen just the movies all the time are just like, oh, it has to be Gale because Peeta's so weak. And I think part of that is that the way that the movies do it. Like, you can still read the books and decide that Peeta's weak if you're going to be stereotypical about gender or whatever. But like, if it was more like the book and the movie, I feel like more people would understand that Peeta's actually a very strong character.
Yeah, but what's also really interesting about Peeta in the film adaptations is that in the first one, in the book, Peeta does kill people in the Hunger Games. Like, he does kill people as much as anyone else does. But in the movie, they took that away. But then, in book 2, in Catching Fire, Peeta isn't supposed to kill as much. Like, he still, like, does stuff. But he's portrayed much more as very much being like this pure person who Katniss wants to save. And in the movie, they decided to then make Peeta kill people. And so there was this reversal of his role between the two books when they brought them to the movies.
And if in the first movie they had made him stronger and they had shown all of his sass and they had indicated like how integral he was, they wouldn't have had to do that in the second one.
Yeah. But I was completely thrown when like Peeta drowns a dude in like the first 30 seconds of being in the arena and Catching Fire, and I was like, where did this come from? He's like, the way that scene is written in the book is that Peeta doesn't know how to swim and is getting drowned by the other guy, and then Finnick has to go in and save Peeta, and instead Peeta's like, oh heck no, I'm saving myself.
No. Peeta. He's my one true love.
Ariel is saying in the Percy Jackson movies, brunette Annabeth only annoyed her so much because the girl didn't even play Annabeth well.
Yeah.
Which is so true. I would have been fine with a brunette Annabeth if she knew how to play Annabeth.
It was the age thing was big for me in that, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Like, they needed to be a lot younger.
Always pisses me off.
Yeah.
I know that it makes more sense when they like can actually drive themselves around and stuff being aged up, and like it makes sense for people to just like be like, oh, you just go off and like save the world. It's not as likely to say that to someone who's like 12, you know?
But that was just so beautiful, and I loved them. And then all of a sudden they're like 16, and it's like
one of my favorite lines from any movie ever, though, is actually there are two lines in Percy Jackson and Olympian where, like, every once in a while, I will just think of these lines and just burst out laughing to myself. And I'm pretty sure they weren't supposed to be as funny as they are to me. But it's when Grover in the opening is like, it's like high school without the musical. I'm like, yeah, that's great. And then he has a line towards the end where they're trying to get into Hades, and the dude at the door like burns the money, and he's like, "We are in a recession here." I'm like, yes.
I feel like, but the age thing though, it'd be a lot stronger to have them be so much younger, because I feel like one of the reasons the books were so good. Okay, there's like a billion reasons, but one of them is that you see that like like the world today, a lot of 12-year-olds are even going to be struggling with really hard issues. And like you get the issue where he's like delinquent, but he's only like 12. You're already labeling kids as delinquent when they're that young.
No, I agree with that. I understand why they aged it up too, though. Because
I know, yeah.
It's more logically to do that, and also you're gonna more likely have more people go see it when you have like Logan Lerman starring in it. You know,
that's true.
And the entire reason I even read those books was because I saw a trailer for Percy Jackson Olympians, and I was like, "Whoa, Logan Lerman, he's really attractive." Like, if the books were like this, count me in. So then I read an entire series before seeing the movie and fell in love with the series. And then I saw the movie and I was like, "This is terrible."
Yeah.
But I still love the movie. It's just a terrible movie. Oh, you know what though? I am number 4. I hate that book,
I haven't
but I love that movie.
I haven't seen the movie.
A lot. I actually don't know a single other person who likes that movie. And my parents whenever my parents talk about it, because my mom likes to like make fun of it, and she's like, "You only like it because Alex Pettyfer's in it." I'm like, well, this is partially true. However, I also just honestly really like the movie for some reason. I understand
to watch it.
Yeah, I understand it's not actually a good movie, but for some reason I really like it.
It can still be enjoyable and not be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. A lot of my friends really like the books, and I read them, and I was kind of like, nah.
I like, so a lot of time I'll like read a book and not like it that much, but then go and watch the movie, and then I'll like love the movie, and then I'll go back to read the book and like be like, well, obviously there's something wrong. Like I must have just read the book with the wrong frame of mind. Like the book must be great, and I'll reread it. I still won't like the book. Like The Fault in Our Stars, I know everyone adores that book, and I love John Green, and I love his other books, but I just don't like The Fault in Our Stars. And I've read it twice now, and I read it when it first came out, and I didn't like it, but I kind of like just went along with it because there's all the hype. And I understood that it was a good book, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. And then I watched the movie, and I loved the movie. And like I said, I saw it 3 times. I have a poster of the movie up on my wall over there, and I listen endlessly to the soundtrack, even though it's like a year later now, because that soundtrack is amazing. But so I reread the book, and I was like, I still don't like this book. Like, oops. And what I think about it is I'm number 4. I just don't like that book. I don't think it's very well written. I don't think it's a good book in general. But
it's like I've been keeping up with the series simply because I know it's been so popular, and like there are so many really, really good characters, honestly, in the book, especially as the series goes on and you get more characters. But the thing is, you don't ever get to see them because they're always focused on like 4, and 4 isn't that great of a character. There's all these side characters that are incredible, and that's like the main strength. And everything else, I'm just like, yeah.
I just have this little like mini epiphany in my head. So Veronica Roth. This is also going to sound really creepy, but so I back when Veronica Roth was blogging like on veronicarothbooks.blogspot.com or whatever that was, I like read every single blog post she had on there. I loved her blog. And when Divergent was first picked up, when she first sold the publishing rights, she was at BEA, and she got an arc for I Am Number 4, and she was like freaking out about the arc, and I just realized that it was because
4.
I never got that before.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh, look at that. I like to point out I haven't read this blog post since probably freshman year of college. And I'm just now thinking of this. Anyway, oh my gosh, Ariel's got a ton to say. Okay, this Peta Sass is everything. I agree. Peta's is greatest. That's another thing. They just found so much good Peta Sass in the first Hunger Games movie. Like,
yeah, they did.
It just wasn't there. They like talked about it, but then they didn't show it.
They just made his character so watered down. It was not okay.
Yeah, and then I feel like he got a lot better in Catching Fire.
He did, but like I need the Hunger Games to have been as good. Okay.
What I really want is that I want them to take the current cast and the current director. And like Francis Lawrence has done amazing things with the series. Like I just want all that, and then go remake the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
like I just want a new one if you could.
I do. Please. I will pay all the stupid money that you stupid people want. Just do it.
I will put in the $30 million you need to make this movie. Okay, so Ariel also said for Percy Jackson, Grover was supposed to be an awkward little scrawny goat. I don't care about him being black. It doesn't even say what race he is in the books, and even if he is white, whatever representation is important. I agree with that. I thought it was great that they made Grover black in the movies.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
But his personality is destroyed. This is also true.
Yeah.
Admittedly, he made some good jokes. Grover's jokes, like, sustain me. People got mad about them changing his race, and I was like, guys, they changed his personality. Slightly more important.
Oh my gosh. The people who got super mad about Rue in the Hunger Games because she was black, I was like...
Also, she's black in the book!
Exactly! I was like... What?
But honestly, if you're gonna get mad about a race, let's talk about the fact that they made Katniss and Gale and all them so white. I love Jennifer Lawrence, and I think she does an amazing job, and I think that she was the right choice for actress for that. However, Katniss isn't supposed to be like this straight up super pale white girl with blue eyes.
She's definitely some kind of mixed race. I've seen different analyses for what it would actually be, but yeah, she's not white.
Yeah. And so, like, it's sad because she is supposed to be, like, this character that is, like, in this minority within, not just, like, to society standards, but within her own, like, civilization.
Yeah.
And...
because she's got the seam look.
Yeah, you know, the brown hair and the olive skin and the gray eyes. And, like, it's sad that that got lost. And I am so happy that they cast Jennifer Lawrence. However, I did hear when they're doing a casting call that they're specifically looking for white people to fill those roles, which is kind of sad when you consider the fact that, like, that means that they did eliminate a lot of other people who probably could have been really great in the role.
Yeah. But anyway, there were people on, like, Twitter and Facebook, and I saw these posts where they were just like, oh, I couldn't feel sorry about Rue dying because she was black. And I was just like, what is wrong with you?
There's so much more. Like, I'm like, how are you alive in the 21st century? Like, please go back to the 1800s with your opinions.
Good.
Ariel says, on The Fault in Our Stars, it's not her favorite book, but she does like the book better than the movie. Not sure why. She has a poster of the book. Haha. It's like a bunch of book quotes. She has about 30 OKs on her wall.
I have an okay shirt.
Why do we have notification? We keep
The Fault in Our Stars is like one of my most favorite-ish books. It's probably, I mean, it's one of the only contemporary books I actually own because I'm not a contemporary person. And so that might be the thing, is that you're more of a contemporary person than I am, I feel like.
Yeah.
By a little bit. Maybe not like by a lot, but you lean more that way. Yeah. So like The Fault in Our Stars was like an outlier a little bit, and for me it clicked. But
okay. Yeah,
I read tons of contemporary, but I never love them enough that I also buy them because I mostly read library books, you know. Yeah. So
the thing is, like, I'm really lazy, so I prefer just to, like, make one stop at the bookstore and just have books, and then, like, if I really don't like them, then, like, I'll sell them or something later on. But, like, in general, I just have stacks of books everywhere.
Library. I'm a library fiend.
Yeah. I think my problem is that, like, growing up, I had a really good library in my town growing up. And I actually had library cards with, like, 4 different libraries, but I just never used any of them because it involved trying to get a parent to drive me there. And, like, my parents are more likely just naturally to take me to Barnes & Noble than to the library.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. Because, like, my parents could go and buy their own books while we're there, and, like, my parents are really into reading, but then they, like, take a long time to read books. Where like my mom will
Okay.
read a book for like 2 months, and like I've known my dad to read a book for like half a year before. So like they can't do libraries. And so I don't know, I just got sent to the bookstore thing, and I've done it ever since.
I get that.
Which is kind of
Yeah.
sad because I live about equidistant between a library and a bookstore right now. And I've gone to the library once in the past year. I didn't read any of the books there. I was going there for a write-in during NaNoWriMo. That's the only time I go to the library. That and to use their bathroom.
The library knows me very well, and I think they kind of hate me a little bit because I'm always taking up their hold shelves. Like, I'll go to the library and I'll be like, I have a hold, and they're like, actually, you have like 20 here. I will get 20 holds at a time, and it's like a thing for me.
Yeah. The other thing too is that you read so fast that you go through like a billion books a week.
I do.
And then I try to read one book a week, but even that can be hard during like the school year and also when I get lazy.
No. I slow down while I'm at school. You can go if you go look at my stats on Goodreads and look at the little like history, like what is it, the one where it says the publication date, and you can see like it'll be like this long, like almost a straight line just because of all the books I was reading. And then like I'll be on for the semester and it'll just kind of turn into like a spattering. And then I'll be off of school and it'll be a line.
But still, your spattering is so much better than like even when I'm reading the most. Like if every couple times a year I'll have like a really intense weekend where I'll read like 4 books. But then like that's like my intense weekend. And you do that like every day.
Okay.
So,
not exactly, but yeah.
Close. So like if I like buy a book, then I know that I'll have it like half a year from now, and if I want to just read it all of a sudden, that I'll like have it available. It also makes it easier where like I can just have the stack of books that I haven't read yet, like in my room, but I can just grab the next one off the stack when I'm ready. So I don't know. I'm really just way too lazy to use a library is what it comes down to.
I mean,
we get on this topic.
Like I'm not
contemporary books.
Yeah, no. I was just saying because I don't buy them, even though I read a bunch of them at the library. I always buy books that I really, really love and really want to reread. And I have to be careful about it because I don't have much room in my bookcase anymore. So I don't have many contemporaries. And so that's what I was talking about. Yeah. And how, like, I feel like you're more contemporary leaning than I am. Yeah. And maybe that's why like I love The Fault in Our Stars so much and then you didn't, it's a little unusual.
Yeah, I don't know. What's interesting is that I actually like all I read growing up was contemporary because that's all I was allowed to read. Where like my family just didn't, like my parents, well mainly my dad banned fantasy growing up, and my mom just like really didn't like sci-fi or anything that like got it all dark. So I mean, we read contemporary stuff where I read like the Animal Arc series a lot, and then like
I did like that one.
Animal Arc series is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then like my mom would read us like James Herriot and Little House on the Prairie and that kind of stuff. So like that's what I grew up with. And then I started getting into like fantasy and sci-fi a little bit when I was like in middle school. And then I like read Harry Potter in high school where I like stuck it. That was my teenage rebellion, was reading Harry Potter. I'm super rebellious.
Yeah.
And so then I started getting really into that kind of stuff for a little bit. And like I read a lot of like I honestly don't read that much straight up like sci-fi or fantasy. I read mainly just the stuff that's really popular, where like other people have already like shown that's gonna be good, so I'll read it. Yeah. But then I read a lot of dystopia, and that like that's kind of my one exception is I love dystopian fiction. I read it all the time, and then I read a ton of thrillers and mysteries. Like that's my main thing. Like that's what I write too. So that's mainly what I read. But then contemporary's making like a huge comeback in the industry right now where everyone's obsessed with contemporary. So I've started reading more of it just because there's been more available that like and then it's also been like drawing my attention back to all the contemporary that I missed while being distracted by like the Hunger Games and stuff like that. So I've been reading a lot more like Laura House Anderson and stuff. So I feel like I honestly I keep a list of the books I've read, and like freshman year and before that, like for like 4 years, I read very, very little contemporary. Like maybe only a couple contemporary books a year. I just didn't like contemporary. And then like I got to college and it started becoming a thing again, and now I probably read like 2-to-1 contemporary over any other genre, even though I primarily like thrillers or sci-fi or stuff like that. Like I read less of that than contemporary at this point. So, and that's my super long rant that nobody's interested in.
Well, I was just thinking about, I feel like, I don't know, I read like everything, and I've pretty much always read like everything, but I've always been the most attracted to sci-fi and fantasy, and that's, like, I read them all, but those are the ones that really connect with me, so.
Yeah, I really love genre fiction.
Yeah.
Like, I love contemporary too. Like, I think it's great, but I can only handle so much of it before I need to go back into my little world of genre fiction.
Yeah. Reality.
But hang on, Ariel's got some more stuff. So she said the reaction to Rue when they cast Amanda. Oh my gosh, I was gonna say Amanda Seyfried. That's obviously not her name. Amanda. What?
Mandala? Is it Amandala? It's Amandala. Yeah.
It's like Amandala, but then what's her last name? It starts with an S, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is gonna throw me until I know what it is.
Emma also has another question, I believe.
Okay. I'm gonna grab this, and then we can read Ariel's thing, and then
we'll go to Emma.
Eventually, we're gonna get back to the actual questions for tonight. Amanda Stenberg or Stenberg. I think it's Amanda Stenberg is how you pronounce it. Okay. So yeah, Ariel. So she like blocked it out of her memory because it's so absurd. She says libraries are her life. And there's a gorgeous library in her college town, and she kind of wants to work there. And she's like, "Oh yeah, Kira, down from 3 books a day to just 1."
Yeah, okay. I maybe deserve that.
Also, she's now yelling at me that Amanda's last name is Stenberg. I should have just gone straight to Ariel for the answer.
Clearly.
I had other names just like far too stuck in my head for that. All right, what's Emma's new question?
Where was it? What can an actor do to be a better version of the character besides reading the book once? Reading the book twice!
Yeah, like really doing like a deep read of the book where you're like examining character motivations and arcs and stuff as you go through. I feel like would be useful.
Yeah.
I don't know, like talk to the author about it, like just to get a feel for how the author thinks the lines should be like said and all that. Because obviously authors are going to be like
Tumblr and find fan fiction and fan art and fan everything, and then see how that connects to you and be a fan.
Yeah, honestly, it's like getting involved with the series beyond just like doing a quick read through is probably the best way actors can like become better actors as those characters.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like almost any movie, the actors are going to have the resource where they can go and talk to the author as much as they want to, and they need to go do that. You hear about like Emma Watson talking about J.K. Rowling and Alan Rickman talking to J.K. Rowling, really, about like Snape's motivations and all that, and like it makes things so much better. Like it makes things easier for the actor, especially if the series isn't done yet. The book series, if they aren't all out yet, and it makes it so much more realistic as they're portraying the character. Because obviously in the book, the author is going to know what's going to happen next, so that the reader might not understand what's going on, but the author does. So it makes it hard if you're the actor reading the book and you're like, you can't get to the end of the series yet. And you're like, so you might misinterpret a line or something like that. So by talking to the author, they can fix those kinds of problems.
This is very true.
Ariel agrees. Read the book seriously. Go to the fan sites. I know someone on Game of Thrones went to fan forums to see what they were worried she wouldn't do and then did it to not disappoint them. That's so sweet. Also, if it's possible, talk to the author, ask them questions.
Yep.
Yeah, that's also really cool. Like, just see what the fans want to get out of it, because more than anything else, they're making the movie for the fans.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna grab the next question. So we've already actually kind of covered the questions that we had already figured out for the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think a movie has to be super accurate to the book to be good? We said no. As long as it as long as they do it well.
Yeah, and beautiful.
And so I feel like if it's like something new where this is the first adaptation ever made of it, then I want it to be more accurate, and I want it to like capture the spirit and have the characters done exactly right.
Yeah.
But if you're doing like a modernization of Shakespeare or Jane Austen, I'm okay with having more changes.
Yeah.
Because there are other adaptations where if I want to go and see something that's super accurate, I already have that available to me.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm fine having these changes then.
I see that. That makes sense.
And then, do we think the characters have to look like the character descriptions in the book? No, not at all. Maybe, like, I feel like the clothing, what they're wearing, I want to be accurate to the book.
Yeah.
But that also has more to do with, like, character, like, development than what the actor themselves looks like.
Yeah.
I feel like you do whatever you can to make the actor look like the character, but then if you find an actor who's, like, a different race who happens to play the character better, I'd rather see that than someone who looks exactly like the character. Okay, and last one from this list. What are some books you'd like to see adapted for the big screen in the future?
All of them. I don't know. There's so many that I love. All of them.
I would love to see some of Ellie Carter's books get adapted.
That could be interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Ellie Carter fan. Like, you know that, because I get really mad at most of her book endings. They make me angry. Especially in the Gallagher Girl series. I stopped reading it because I was like, stop breaking me with your book. But actually, her most recent one, I don't know if you read it yet, the Embassy Row novel, All Fall Down.
Yeah, I did.
I love that one. That's my favorite of hers so far.
Interesting. So I like it. I don't think it's the best thing she's written by any means. I feel like I'm gonna like the series, but I was such a big Gallagher Girls fan, and like I really like High Society, and so far I really like Embassy Row, but like neither of them are Gallagher Girls for me.
I see.
So
I can see that. Yeah.
Also, the Embassy Row ending. I know that there's nothing she could do about this, but just the similarities it had to another book that recently came out that I don't want to name it because I don't want to give away the ending because it's a big twist ending.
Yeah.
But it's the same twist as was of another book that was very popular last year. And I know there's nothing she could do about that because both books were in production at the same time. But like it did kind of like it made it easier to see that twist coming. And B, it made it harder to appreciate it because I had already had that twist played on me in the last year.
That's true. I see that.
Also, that kind of certain twist endings just honestly pissed me off because, like, I like books where there's, like, foreshadowing in the way that the reader could figure out the mystery if they wanted to. And I understand the twist ending where it's like it's a curveball where the reader wouldn't be able to get it on the first read through without like expecting that kind of thing. Because like I said, like I was expecting it a little bit. So I was like, well, obviously none of these other things make sense, so it must be this kind of ending. Right. Because I just read this other book earlier this year that was like that. But like, I don't know. It feels like the author's like, oh, you can't predict what's gonna happen, but then it's like, you know, they're not allowing you the chance to predict it. You know, it takes away some of the agency for the reader, I feel like. Anyway, that's my Embassy Row rant. I really did like that book. It's just like it's like this little prickle of annoyance about it, which isn't a big deal at all. So
anyway, that's not the one that I was thinking about for adaptation anyway. I feel like Galaga Girls would actually be very, very good for adaptation. I think you're right about that.
I think it could be. Oh, you know what's so I haven't read the book, but Vampire Academy, they had their adaptation come out last year and it did very poorly, and I don't think they're making the rest of them.
Yeah.
But, my friend was a really big fan of the series and dragged me to go see it, and I actually really enjoyed the movie. It's hilarious. It's not hilarious like in the Percy Jackson kind of way where it's like so bad it's good. It's honestly hilarious.
Right.
And I really enjoyed it. And so, like, you know, I was tempted to read the book after, but I haven't yet because I'm not really into the whole vampire thing. But I don't know. I did enjoy that one. I'm thinking of another one that had the zombie one. What's that zombie one?
Warm Bodies?
Warm Bodies. I haven't read the book because I heard the book's really bad, but the movie is so cute and it's so funny.
I haven't seen that one either.
I highly recommend it. It's like you're expecting it to be really, really cheesy and gross and stupid, but it's so funny. It's so good. And then Nicholas Hoult is like this weirdly attractive zombie all throughout it. It's great.
That does sound great. Anyway, we were talking about books we wanted adapted.
Yeah.
I heard the selection got optioned or whatever.
Yeah, selection just got optioned like this week, didn't it?
Yeah, and I'm super excited about that if they actually do make that. Because, like, I know that book's, okay, well, I know it's not a very serious book, but I love it, and I think it would look beautiful on screen.
I feel like it's fine if something's, like, not super serious. Like, as long as it's enjoyable, you know?
I thought it was so fun. Anyway, so that one I think will be good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide about, like, you all know, my big favorite has been Unwind. Neil Shusterman. I recommend it like every time we have these chats. And I'm trying to decide if I want that or not. I do, but I'm just so scared they'll get it wrong is the thing.
Yeah.
Because it's so brilliant to me, the way that it's written. And I'd love to see it, but like, yeah, okay. That's one I'd be nervous about.
Yeah. I've said it before where like one of my friends and I were discussing this, like, what would you like to see adapted? And I was like, I would love to see an Anna and the French Kiss adaptation because it's just so adorable. It's so funny. Like, I think it would be a great little rom-com movie. And I feel like you could easily do that one as like an indie kind of thing. And my friend was like, no, they can't adapt that. They would never get someone hot enough to play St. Clair. And I was like, this is true. He's much more attractive in my brain than he could ever be in person. But also, I still really want that movie because I think it'd be so funny.
That would be really cute. Yeah, that'd be great.
And like they could have the whole trilogy. It'd be like it'd be like Nicholas Sparks but better. Like have their whole little.
Yeah.
Let's look over here. There's Stephanie Perkins books. Let's see. What do I have on my shelves right now?
Just adapt books and I'll probably go see them.
This is true. Like, what is it? Me and Earl, the Dying Girl. I haven't read that book yet, but the trailer to the movie looks great. So I'm probably gonna read the book and see the movie now.
Yeah, I just added the book to my list.
Yeah. I'd just like to see some Rainbow Rowell adaptations. I feel like I'm not sure how well they would work as movies, but I feel like they could work.
I feel like Eleanor and Park could be good. I don't know about Fangirl, but Eleanor and Park might.
Fangirl could be fun in that it has like the different storylines going on with, you know, obviously Kat's storyline, but also like all the Simon Snow stuff going on.
That would be really interesting.
It could be interesting. But then also, I feel like you could make that argument for like a lot of books that have like that kind of storyline. So I feel like if that's your chief reason for making a movie out of it, it's not a good one. But so much of that book takes place like in Kat's head, or her just like sitting there writing that like probably wouldn't actually make a good movie.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking for the Shatter Me trilogy.
Yeah, so much happens in Juliet's head in those that like
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
like,
sure what happened. Hang on, gotta plug in my laptop. Oh my gosh, I'm like tangled in cords now. There we go.
Anyway, like, I know, like, Shatter Me, I know a lot of people, and they're right about this. Yeah, they're right about it. The plot isn't really the big strength of Shatter Me. Is that I like the last book a lot. I feel like it improved a lot there. But
Okay.
for Shatter Me, most of it I think is in the prose and in being inside of her head. And so that would be really hard to adapt properly. I love the way it's written, and you can't capture that in film.
It's such cool writing. The thing is also though, I loved Shatter Me. Like the prose is so unique. Like it's so cool. And then I couldn't get through the second book. It took me almost a year to read the second book because I was having so much trouble. Just like the prose got too much for me. Where I'm like, I am such a plot focused person. Like over anything else, the like plot is what I read for. So I was like, where's the plot? We're just hiding in all these crossed out words and all these cool metaphors. Like,
I'm so worried about you reading my book. I'm just like super worried about anybody reading it, to be honest. I'm very anxious about this book that I'm working on, internet.
I'm excited for your book though because like I said, I loved Shatter Me. Like, I feel like if I get that kind of writing, I can handle it for a certain amount where it's very character focused. But then, like, after I get to a certain point, then I'm like, I need to have more plot and I need to have more plot twists and mystery and all this stuff going on. And so I feel like reading your book, I'll be fine because it's one book.
Yeah.
Are you making it a series?
I think it would be very hard to do, so no.
Okay, good.
I can't imagine how I could. Yeah, it's not that good, just so we're all clear on that right now, because I just started editing it, and I'm just like, nah. But it'll be good. I just have a lot of work to do.
There you go. And that's the right attitude to have. Because I feel like your novel has such good bones just from, like, the little bit I know about it from the plot and the little bits of, like, writing samples you've given us. Like, it's going to be really great when you're done with it.
I'm a bones person. That's the problem, is that when I write, it's always going to end up being bones for the first draft. So I've just got really, like, nice little bones right now. and now I actually need to, like, make it a person. Is that the metaphor we're working with?
Sure,
or maybe
sure.
It's a kitty. I need more fur on this cat. I don't even know. Yeah. Anyway.
That's always been a really interesting thing between your writing style and mine because you always write like the super short first drafts and then you flesh everything out. And then I write the super long first drafts and have to cut back. But what's interesting with like editing the book that I've been revising and more than editing, the book I've been working on for the past few years, it started out as I think like 100,000 words ish, and then it made it up to like 110,000 words or something like. Or maybe it started out 110,000, then it went down to 100,000. Like it was something over 100,000 words long, like right away. And then I actually added plot to it, and it ended up down to 85,000 words because I was just cutting so much meaningless fat I had on it. But like, I was adding scenes and like subplots and stuff, and I was like, wow, the word count keeps going down and the plot keeps getting more complex.
Good for you. I think most writers do that, from what I've heard, is that for most writers, the big thing is cutting words. For me, it's been the opposite, just because I'm a pantser and I get super duper excited about it. And I'm like, for me, like, I know not all, I mean, obviously, lots of people are pantsers. This isn't like just a pantser thing or whatever.
I was gonna say, I'm also a pantser and I do the opposite. I just draw things out.
But for me, it's like, as a pantser, I get super duper excited about the fact that I don't know how it's going to end, really. And so then I'm just, like, racing through it while I'm writing, because I'm like, what's going to happen? I can read it, and I'm just like, oh, I forgot about all the subplots, because I just want to know about that one. So
yeah, I do the opposite, because I'm pantsing, I never know what's going to happen next. And I'm always so, like, preoccupied trying to figure out what happens next, I just like write myself like into corners repeatedly. Where I'm like, here's this meaningless subplot over here that nobody cares about because I'm trying to figure out what's actually going on in the plot. And generally it's NaNoWriMo when I'm writing. So
Yeah.
I need to be writing.
Me too.
So I will just like write like 5,000 words of fluff before we actually get to anything happening.
I just like probably part of my being obsessive. I've got, I've got a bit of an obsessive personality, having OCD and all. So then I just like latch onto it, and I'm just like, ah! Yeah. It's great.
All right, we've missed out on like a ton of conversation on Skype, so I'm not even going to try to keep up with this at this point. Molly showed up. Molly showed up on Skype, and we all know what happens when that happens.
Oh yes.
But the last I saw was Ariel saying she wants Daughter of Smoke and Bone,
That could be good.
Eleanor and Park, The Night Circus, and the Fairyland series.
Fairyland.
Oh my gosh, you know what I want?
Which one?
Fairyland is that series that she keeps recommending that like nobody knows about, but it's supposed to be really good. It's on my to be read list, but haven't read it yet. And it's like I can't remember the exact title. It was like the girl who circumvented Fairyland.
Oh yes,
that one. Yeah, it's that series. What I really want is the Raven Boys series.
Oh, that would be really pretty.
I feel like it could be hard to do in a way that would make money.
But it would be so pretty.
So pretty. And it would just be so, like, I feel like it'd be Dead Poet Society with fantasy for, like, 4 movies. Okay, I'm just gonna turn off Skype at this point, because this is getting insane. Okay.
Try tweeting us instead, Ariel.
Yeah, tweet us if you want us to say anything. Emma wants Scott Westerfield's Leviathan. I can never pronounce that word. Scott Westerfield's Leviathan book adapted.
That's a good one.
I haven't read that one yet.
I have.
I
like it.
What else would be good?
I was thinking like Girl of Fire and Thorns. I've only read the first book, but like I adored the first book, so that one I'm interested. I have to read the whole series to know exactly how much I want it, but I think I want that.
Yeah. We keep hearing, so they haven't talked about it in a while, but 13 Reasons Why is supposed to eventually become a movie starring Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez?
Well, she's the reason it's becoming a movie.
I hadn't heard that.
Like, nobody was really interested in making it a movie, and then she read it and, like, loved it and wanted to be in it. So she convinced someone to buy the film rights for it. I can't remember who owns the film rights at this point. But, like, so they bought the film rights with the idea that she would be starring in it. And then I haven't heard anything about the movie in, like, a couple years now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's still in pre-production, if they're working on a script, or if funding fell through, or what happened there. But I feel like, I'm not sure if that would make a good movie, but I feel like it could.
Yeah.
And it's such an important message of that one.
Yeah.
I would love to see some stuff with just some like really like offbeat narrators made into movies. Like the narrators who are just super unique. Like The Book Thief could be really interesting. They made the movie, but I have not seen that movie, so that's why I'm saying it in like general terms. I don't know if the movie's actually any good, but I feel like it could be good. I should probably watch it.
Same.
I kept meaning to watch it. I tried so hard to watch it, and then it never was showing anywhere within driving distance of me. Like reasonable driving distance, it was like 4 hours away. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not driving 4 hours for a movie.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'll watch it when it gets to Netflix, and then it hasn't gone to Netflix yet. So, oops. But like, I'm interested in seeing how they do that with Death narrating it. Amy Zhang's falling into place, having the imaginary friend narrator could be interesting.
Yeah.
Just like I like weird narrators. I like seeing how they handle those for movies. I feel like it rarely turns out well, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's very, very hard to do.
Yeah. So on the topic of film adaptations, like just like book to screen in general, like what do you think of like TV adaptations? Like we have Pretty Little Liars and Game of Thrones and all those. Like
No, I haven't watched any, so I can't exactly say. I feel like it's a good idea. I mean, there hasn't been one for any book that I've been particularly interested in, but if there would be, I would be really interested in seeing it.
okay. I'm interested because they're making the Mortal Instruments into a TV series now. And
Yeah, I heard about
didn't
that.
see the movie, but so I read the first book when the movie was going to come out, and I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I never ended up seeing the movie, and then I heard it was like ridiculously bad, and my friends were like, if you like the Percy Jackson movie, you should see Mortal Instruments. And so like I'm planning on watching it with people at some point just to make fun of it. But so I'm interested to see what happens with the TV series, if they're like doing it better. The pilot for Delirium by Lord Oliver.
Oh my gosh.
This is the worst thing ever made.
That was
oh my
bad.
gosh. It was so bad I couldn't even properly make fun of it, which is a bad day for me.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of what else is. The 100, I haven't read the book, but I watched the pilot episode of it, and I thought it was
I
pretty
watched
good.
a few episodes of it while I was in severe trauma because my hand was causing me problems and I was in the hospital. And I thought it was really badly done, honestly, which is why I stopped
Really?
watching it. I was like, this is terrible.
See, I thought
Like,
I was intrigued because all of my friends and so many people in the publishing industry love it. So I was watching the first episode. I'm like, this is okay, but it's like very CW, and like I'll be honest, I watch a lot of CW shows. Like
I love
I'm
Supernatural.
addicted to the Flash, but
Supernatural.
but I don't watch them in like a way that I'm like, wow, this is so great. I watch it like I like how this has some good moments, but also a lot of it's just really easy to make fun of.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't watch the 100 because so many people actually like it. And then the like, but it's funny because in the last 5 minutes of the pilot episode, I was like, I really hope that something bad happens to this one character. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to actually happen because so far they've been really like optimistic in this series. Like in the first like 40 minutes of this episode, they're so optimistic about everything with like, people were just like finding their way in the world, and I was like, but I really hope this character just like dies. And then in like the last 30 seconds of the episode, like the big plot twist happens that like makes the series so intense, and I was like, whoa, that's what I wanted to happen. So then I was tempted to watch the next episode, and then I was like, wait, but actually I can't do this.
I just like, I don't know. I really didn't like. It's very engrossing. Like it's very pulling, but it seems very cliche to me. Is probably the yeah. And I don't know. See, that could very well be the book. I'm assuming it is related to the book. I haven't read the book either.
I've heard it differs pretty significantly from this book series.
Okay, so I don't know then. I can't tell you about TV series because I haven't watched them, but I will. I really want a good one. I really do. I considered Pretty Little Liars, but I haven't read the books, and I feel like
I haven't read the books either, and you really don't need to watch that series.
I don't need to, but I feel like I should. I don't know.
See, the thing is actually, so I have a lot of friends who read the Pretty Little Liars series, like fell in love with the TV show, and then started reading the books, and they like just sped through the books. And then the thing about those books is that it turned into a money grab partway through. So it started out pretty good if you're looking at it from like this weird thriller perspective, but then it turned into just like, who's A? Now we know. Now we have another A, and then it just kept going on like that. And now the TV series has also turned into that. And like, I binge watch Pretty Little Liars a lot. Where like I used to keep up with it every week, and then I was like, I can't handle this. So now I'll wait till a season is over and watch it on Netflix. But I'm at this point like 2 years behind on the show, and I don't even care anymore because it's just like it's so ridiculous where you know that they aren't going to tell you who A is into the very last episode, maybe then, and you know that they're going to keep drawing out the series until then because they're going to go as long as they can be making money. And I'm like, you know what, I'll tune back in for the final season. But like all this like in between stuff, I don't need anymore because there's nothing important going on. Like it's just a bunch of false leads.
If you get too focused on that, on how much money you can squeeze out of it, you're probably gonna ruin it. That's definitely a thing.
Which is also why like miniseries things. This miniseries.
Yeah,
like,
no, North and
really
South.
awesome.
Okay, I haven't read North and South, like the actual classic, but I loved the BBC miniseries for North and South, and it made me so happy. So that can count, I guess. Does that count? That counts.
It counts. It definitely counts.
I love that. So that one was great.
I haven't read Game of Thrones, and I've only seen a couple episodes because it's just like way too violent for me, which is saying something because I'm
for
like
me
the queen
it
of
crosses
violence.
all kinds of lines. So yeah, for me I can't. I tried reading the first book and I couldn't even get through like the first page because I thought it was really boring, which is kind of funny. But like, yeah, I can't watch it
because most people are like, it's such a page turner.
Not the first page.
That probably explains why it made it like 20 years of being like this anonymous book series before it got super popular.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the show's probably really, really well done, and I get that lots of people love it.
So well done. They put so much money into it.
I can't personally, but
yeah. So like, I don't really watch it, but I have seen a couple episodes at this point because like my roommates watch it, and so like I'll watch it with them every once in a while. Like I just watched this week's episode, but it's interesting because I think that's one of those things that would not work as a movie series. Because you need to just fit so much stuff into it.
Right.
But you can't fit all the weird subplots and like family dynamics and like what's going on over in this country and like all that in the TV show because especially because it's HBO, so you don't actually have to deal with TV show limitations. Like, so it's just really cool that like stuff like that exists.
Yeah. I mean, I would love something like that for a more conservative audience with a different story, perhaps, like Harry Potter.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other series that I would like to see made into something that isn't already like in the process of being made into something. I mean, I feel like there is stuff. I'm just not thinking. I feel like Codename Verity could be a really good movie because it's like it's got a lot of like intense stuff to it where they could play up certain elements and it would like work well for a mass audience. Especially because everyone's really into historical stuff right now, like weirdly into it.
I'm not a historical fan, in case anyone didn't know that.
I mean, like for movies, if you've noticed that like. There's just been a lot of historical movies the past few years that have done very well. And I know most of it's Oscar bait, but like still.
Yeah. Oscar bait. I love that. I can see Codename Verity being a good one. I wasn't I wasn't a fan of Codename Verity. It didn't work for me personally, but it might work better for me in a movie. Well, I would have to see. Yeah.
Yeah. The big thing with the movie is that the book is like I'm always so worried about spoiling the book because it was the fact that I had no idea what was going on in it that made it so good for me. But it has the two main characters. It's about these two girls who are best friends, and it tells like both of their stories. And like it'd be a little bit difficult, I feel like, to adapt it in such a way that you would preserve both stories, but also make it work for a film. Yeah. And so I'm not sure about that, but I feel like
it's challenging. It really is challenging. You have to be able to do it for the art and to be invested in it and not just because of money. Like, too much, it's about the money and about the fact that, you're going to get teens to come watch the movie. How great. Well, you should also make it good, and that takes work. So,
Okay, so we've got some tweets. Okay. Okay. Ariel says Molly and her both want a Raven Boys movie. Also, she's offended that we don't care about her opinions on Unwind. Molly, I just didn't read any of the messages on Skype because there were too many. You guys were talking way too much.
Yeah, calm down.
Emma says the Sisters Grimm books would improve the childhood of thousands if adapted. Just saying.
That's good. Yeah.
Ariel says, can you imagine a Falling Into Place movie? We can dream. It would be so good. Oh, and she says that she liked the Book Thief movie. Awesome. She says the Book Thief movie equals so good. Can't believe I forgot about it when we were discussing which ones are good. Awesome. I will definitely have to watch that then.
Yeah.
And Emma says Cornelia and the Audacious Escapades of the Somerset Sisters by Leslie M. Bloom. Hang on one second, because I want to see if I recognize the cover of that book, because if it's the book I'm thinking of, I love that book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be all over seeing that adapted.
There is a movie you would recognize.
It is! Oh my gosh, sorry.
I remember.
I absolutely love that book. It's one of my favorite middle grades.
What
I've
book
read
was
it
that?
so many times. It is Cornelia and the Audacious Escapades of the Somerset Sisters.
No, I haven't read that one.
And you have to read it. It's the cutest thing ever.
Okay.
It's about this little girl named Cornelia whose mom is this famous concert pianist who's never around. And she meets this older, very eccentric lady who lives in her apartment building. And the lady tells her all these stories from when she was young and all these crazy adventures her and her sisters went on. And, it's so good. And, it's just so beautiful and so cute and so adventurous. And, I would love a movie of that. Oh, my gosh. I didn't realize how much I wanted a movie of that until she just said that. And okay, I think that is it for Twitter for now.
Okay.
If anyone else wants to tweet suggestions for what you think should be made into a movie or a TV show or a miniseries or anything like that, you can tweet using hashtag #Ch1Con, which will conveniently be on your screen over there.
Over here.
Yeah. And also, if you have any other questions for us or any opinions to make about film adaptations, feel free to tweet with them and we will read them as part of the chat. And if you have questions, we will answer them.
I was just thinking about another one that I had kind of forgotten about, which was Beautiful Creatures. Did you see that adaptation?
I did, but I don't know how much I can count seeing it. So I saw it on a plane, and so what you need to know about this was that I was having really bad luck with planes that year, and so I was on my way to England last year, and it was 2 a.m. I was super tired, but I wasn't sleepy. So I was oh, I'll watch a movie. So I was oh, Beautiful Creatures. I just read the book, and I didn't like the book that much, but the movie looks like it could be good. So I was oh, I'll watch it. And my TV on my seat was broken. So the screen worked, but the sound didn't. So then this kid was sitting next to me, and he's oh, here, I'll turn on the movie on mine at the same time as you're watching yours, and you can plug in your headphones on mine and listen on mine, and you can watch on yours. And I'm well, that works. He's just going to go to sleep anyway. So I did that, but of course they were playing at different speeds. So as the movie went on, they got more and more off, and I was I can't handle this. So that was my impression of Beautiful Creatures, was super mixed match dialogue and speed of talking. But then the thing is that happened on my way there, and then it happened on the way back too on a different plane. So anyway.
Wow. That was one that I really loved. Is basically what I was going to say. I thought that was really. It was beautiful, like Beautiful Creatures. I like that adaptation a lot. So I'm just throwing that one out there.
I know you liked The Host a lot too.
Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't like the book or
the adaptation
movie.
was pretty good.
So
I don't know. I didn't like the movie as much as the book because I really love the book, and
Mhm.
a lot of what I love about the book is the internal dialogue. But the movie was also pretty good, I thought. So
Okay.
if you're a fan of the book, go ahead. Like, why not? If you hate Stephanie Meyer, then don't.
Yeah, I wanted so badly to like that book too, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same with me in Codename Verity. I
Yeah.
wanted it, but I couldn't.
It sucks sometimes because you're like, I want to like this book, and I know that other people like it, but you just can't. Like, it's a way of The Fault in Our Stars too, where like I'm like, I know that this is a high quality book. I know that everyone loves it, but I just don't like it that much.
I want to understand, and I can't. Yeah.
It's like there's so many books like that. Like really, like I was talking about this a while back, where like classics a lot. Like I can read them and I can understand why they're classics and why people like them, but they just don't appeal to me that much.
Yeah.
Where like I just don't feel anything when I'm reading them. Where like I'm like, whoa, I can tell why Holden Caulfield's voice is really awesome, but I don't personally like it. Like, yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. It's very personal.
Yeah.
All of it.
It's very subjective, as literary agents like to remind us every time they reject our little babies.
Which they do all the time.
Yeah. Goodness.
It was such a sad life. Anyway.
Yeah. You know, I just finished yesterday. Side Effects May Vary.
I hated that.
Yeah. So I didn't love the book.
I didn't finish it. We'll go with that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't love the book. Honestly,
finish it?
I didn't think the writing was super good. But I did I mean, I liked it, but I didn't love it. It's, I guess, the way I'm going to put it. But I feel like it could make a good movie, especially because we do seem to have the trend of the cancer patient.
Yeah. No, like, I read it, I could recognize, yeah, that one, there's definite, like, people are going to like that one. It didn't work for me because I had some moral objections to a lot of it, which happens for me sometimes. Like, I'll just read something and I'm like, just something about this just feels wrong for me. So, like, I can't do it. Like, definitely, like, I can't name anything specific really for that one. It was just the general feel. But for me, if cats die in books, that's going to get me off of it. I can't read books where cats die. So,
oh my gosh. You know what's an amazing adaptation? Marley and Me. Oh my gosh. That's one of those things where generally if a book makes me cry, the movie won't, or the movie makes me cry, the book won't. I will cry at both the book and the movie. Like,
good, I guess.
So bad. It's actually really, it's so terrible though, because Marley and Me, the movie, came out the week before my grandfather died.
Oh,
and
no.
I saw the movie and I was like crying in the movie, and I was like, oh, this is so sad. But then I got out of it and I was like there with my mom and one of my friends, and I was like, I actually really want to go watch that again because I feel like I haven't been crying enough lately. Like, that just felt really good to cry in there. And then a week later my grandfather died and I was like, I didn't mean it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I don't, you know, people can die, sure. Kill all the people. Just not killing animals. I can't do it.
Exactly. No, you can't kill animals.
So yeah, the point of that, again, being that it's, yeah, personal. Like, there's different things that will trigger different people. I can't do it. Animals dying, I can't do it. Like, that's just me, so.
You know what's a few years back, my high school theater company went to New York City for spring break, and while we were there, we were having a Broadway workshop, and the guy was like just talking about stuff, and my director was like, "Hey, while we're here, are there any shows that like nobody knows about that you would recommend we see while we're in New York?" And he was like, "Well, there's this little show that's in previews right now that's really cool. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's called War Horse." And we didn't end up seeing War Horse. It sounded really cool when the guy told us about it. And then, like, a year later, Steven Spielberg adaptation of War Horse, and the book was on the bestseller list, and it was, like, everywhere. And, like, I saw the movie, and I was like, the movie was okay, but I didn't like it that much. But then I was like, so like mad that I missed out on the Broadway musical that like I went out and bought the book and everything. I still haven't read it. It's been like 3 years. Like, oops.
Nice.
I was like, I'm still mad that we could have gone and seen War Horse on Broadway before anyone knew about it. We didn't.
You missed your hipster chance.
I know. We also had the hipster chance to sing the Addams Family musical before it was even on Broadway. It was like in, it was doing it's a regional thing in Chicago at the time, and we had like somebody involved in the production emailed my theater director being like, "Hey, do you want to bring your company out to Chicago and you can just have like all these free tickets to see Addams Family?" And we're like, "Heck yeah!" And then we didn't do it for some reason. I can't remember why. It might have been during finals or something. But like, so we did see it, and then Addams Family like made it big too. And now my high school is actually doing Addams Family as their musical now. I'm like, what? We were supposed to see that, and now you're doing it.
Wow.
Anyway, I feel like I always dominate these chats. It's so bad. I'm so sorry. I'm like talking endlessly.
I'm good. I mean, I know it gets really awkward because like I'm always a little bit behind with the internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go back and watch it on YouTube and I'm like, you can't understand anything because I keep talking over Joy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoops.
I'm
so tired, Julia.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm
School
fading
is
fast.
so hard.
Yeah.
Why do we do this?
I don't know. And I'm looking at potentially doing more classes this summer. So I've been in classes nonstop. Like I had 3 weeks off at one point, and then 1 week off at one point, and another week off at one point. Like those are the breaks I've had since July.
Wow.
I've been endlessly in school, and then I'm looking at taking like 1 week off right now, and then doing another semester or two, and just being endlessly in school for like 2 years straight.
Wow.
So I like school a lot, but I'm also really tired. So I don't know how I'm gonna handle that if I do decide to do that.
And then I'm just like, oh, I was home and I was doing nothing for like 3
you
months.
took an online class though.
I did, but basically I was just sitting in bed all day, every day, reading books mostly. And then I come here and it's the first week of school and I'm like going places and doing things and I'm just like, so hard. I need an adjustment period here. I'm just like, this is not normal, but it is, but it's not.
My thing right now is just like, so I'm really tired because besides it being finals, like I only had one final exam this week, but I did have 2 term papers due. But like, so I had my one final exam today, and now I'm done for the semester. And like, it's summer vacation for me right now. Like, summer vacation started at like 3:00 today.
And I just, started.
You just started your semester.
Week.
But like, my other thing is that like, when I don't have a lot of schoolwork to do, then I just am terrible about time. I'm terrible at time management. So I have been like, just like my birthday was on Tuesday, so I've been like hanging out a lot with friends and like
at bars.
In my defense, I had like this big of not even you have to understand it was like one of those little tiny drinks and I drink half of it and I was like I'm done. So,
I read your little stories on Skype.
Yeah, I was like talking the most awkward experience at a bar where they're like just staring at my ID and I was like I swear I'm 21. But
anyway.
So it's just bad though because I'll be like I don't know what to do with my time, so I'll just like read a book all day or like go and watch Netflix for 2 hours, and like I know that's not a good use of my time.
Which is what I was doing for the past 3 months, which is why I'm so tired right now.
Yeah. And like I know that I should like right now like what I should be doing. So I just submitted a big project.
Oh my god!
Honestly,
so excited for you.
Oh, thanks. This thing that I've been doing for like 3 billion years. Where I've been working on this one round of revisions on a novel for like literally over a year now. Probably since January 2013, I want to say.
That's about the last time I went on a date. No, that actually is the last time I went on a date. That's really sad. Anyway.
But literally, I've been working on this one round of revisions since January 2013, and I just finished it this week. And so I'm like just very weirded out by like this empty hole in my life where I've been endlessly doing these revisions for over a year now. And like, wow, I finally have time to work on that play I've been writing for the past half a year and to work on the 2 NaNoWriMo projects I've been neglecting for the past 2 years. Like, I don't know what to do with this time.
Yeah. Huh? I was wondering about the novel that you were doing this past NaNoWriMo. I was like, I want to know what's happened with that.
I might finish it. I'm like at the point where I could very easily finish it, but I'm not willing to finish it properly is the thing. Because I had this whole storyline going on, and then I was like, big plot twist, they're gonna go to Europe halfway through, and then they're in Europe, and then I added this other plot thing going on, and then I was like, whoa, there's too much stuff going on in this book. I'm way too lazy to do this right now because I don't like this book at all. It's purposely bad, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I just thought it sounded really fun. So.
It's very fun. It was really fun to write it because it's just me ranting about pop culture for 50,000 words right now. But I'm tempted to do like another 10K and just finish it off without finishing all the
without actually finishing it.
Without actually finishing it. But like finishing it enough that I could say that it's something I could work on later if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. I'm just really like with my book when I actually have the time and I'm not trying to adjust to this whole school thing. I was talking to my mom in the car when when she was driving me up here to college. Like, I am just the whitest white person, and I feel so bad about it because like that's probably the biggest issue right now with that book is that my main character is Hispanic and I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
it's just the work.
Diversity's so hard to do. We're like, it's like we're trying. Like you're obviously trying very hard with your Hispanic main character. I've been trying to write a lot of diversity in my short stories this year because like more than anything else, that's what I've been working on. It's like schoolwork. And like it's so hard to do stuff realistically when it's not your experience. And like you can do the research, but it's just a lot.
She's just like quinceañeras and like treks and like pistoli and like all this stuff. And she's like throwing all these things at me, rosaries and all of this, and I'm just like I'm an idiot. like I basically just wrote a white character and then said she was Hispanic, and I feel terrible about it because I just didn't know. I'll fix it, but it's gonna be interesting.
And the funny thing too is like my main. So in one of the short stories I did for class this year, I was writing a girl who was half Mexican, and it played a kind of significant role in the plot where like it was like. She was like talking about like how her heritage, like how she felt disconnected from her heritage because she grew up in the Midwest, but she was Mexican and like all this stuff. And I realized partway through the story that really, despite the fact that I have taken 1 billion Spanish classes and like have taken like and I have friends from Mexico who I've talked to about their heritage and stuff, really all I know is Mexican food. It's like I love Mexican food. So I'd be like talking about like tres leches like stuff like that. I'm like, wow, all I know is food. I really don't know anything else about this culture.
My mom was just throwing out all this stuff, and she was talking about all this Hispanic culture, and I'm just like, I'm just so stupid. And she's like, you live in New Mexico, and I'm just like, I know!
I mean, is your character Hispanic or Mexican?
Hispanic. I'm trying to see. I'm so stupid I haven't even figured out her actual heritage. Yeah, okay. No, I'm still working on it. It's gonna be more like a Yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna be Mexican, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, if she's Hispanic, then I wouldn't blame you for living in New Mexico and not knowing about it.
Right.
Like, but if it's Mexican, then Kira. Kira.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just so. Yeah. She's probably gonna be Mexican, and yes, I am an idiot. So it's just part of it is that I live in the most non-diverse part of New Mexico because I live in Los Alamos, which is a teeny tiny town surrounded by mountains and canyons and Native American reservation. It's totally isolated. They put it there to be isolated because it was part of the Manhattan Project. They were like, nobody should know that this place exists. So it's just this like little thing in the middle of nowhere full of white people and Asians. And that's like what we have. That's all I've ever been surrounded by is white people and Asians. So then I start writing about this other stuff and I'm like, what? Yeah. So the point of all that being, when I actually am getting back to editing my book, which I hope will be soon, that's going to be the thing, is that I have to figure out about people who aren't white. I feel so terrible, but yeah.
You know what's interesting is like, as long as we're off on this diversity topic at this point, was my mom and I were discussing my book. She was editing it for me. Well, that's critiquing. I call everything editing, and it's never editing. She was critiquing my book for me, and she was like, Julia, you know, I know you really like We Need Diverse Books stuff, but I don't understand because you have zero diversity in your book. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Ouch.
I was like, are you sure? And then I started listing off all the characters who are diverse characters. And I realized it's that I don't make the point that I have diverse characters because, like, the book's not about that. So I'm just, like, casually throwing it in there that those characters diverse. And, like, and my mom was like, are you sure the character's diverse? Because I didn't see them as diverse in my head. And I was like, I swear that's the way I meant to write it. So I honestly, like I should not be talking about how to write diversity in literature. Because, like, I clearly am not doing a good job at it.
I was just like, it's part of it is that it's the skeleton thing. I was so excited by analyzing the psyche of OCD and all of this like really crazy meta stuff, and then I go back and I'm just like, wait, I forgot about everything else, including the fact that she's Hispanic. Like, wait, and like, oh my gosh, by the time I actually got to the last page, I was putting like parentheses and just being like, insert romance subplot here, and then I just
here I love you.
Because I was just like, I am so excited about this OCD thing, and then
that's hilarious. Is there a romance subplot here?
Yeah, no, literally I was doing that, and then I would just be like, something about her best friend probably here.
See, I would never do that. I would be like, I'm so like disciplined about it. Like, I have to write out every last thing before I can get to the end. Because the end is my reward for getting through all that crap.
I was like, no, I just have to finish. So, yeah, it's a mess right now. Well, yeah. Okay. Spartacus just opened my door somehow.
Smart.
At least I think he did. I don't know how he did that.
I saw this video the other day about these idiots who were like on a safari and they didn't have their doors locked. They're by this like pride of lions. And a lion came over to the car. They were like videotaping. They're like, this is so cool. The lion's coming up to us. The lion reaches out. I was like, and like opens the door to the car. They're screaming and like sped off. The lion was like, whatever. Like, you idiots. Like,
oh gosh, that's so great.
A great video. It's a wonderful magical place, guys.
I just love cats, even though big cats are like horrible to play with, obviously, like don't do that. Like sometimes, you know, they just act like domestic cats and you see things like that and you're just like, oh my gosh, that's so great. Like just opening a door with their teeth. Like,
All
Great.
right. Do we want to make like a final point about film adaptations, and then we can both go to bed?
Film adaptations are cool, and you
Yeah.
should put work into them, not just because money, but because you care.
And from like a perspective of a viewer, like we should all go see film adaptations, even if the movie doesn't look that good, because A, it can surprise
It
you.
could be a surprise. Yeah,
And
it
then
happens a lot.
B, right now, especially with young adult fiction, we're kind of in a testing period with Hollywood where they're
Yeah.
seeing if stuff other than the big blockbuster movie can succeed.
Mhm.
And like the more movies that get made, the more chance we have of more movies getting made. And
Wow, economics.
And so what we need to do right now is, even if you aren't super into a book series or something, if you see the movie coming out, go and see it, because if you spend the money on that one, then they're more likely to make movies out of those series that you do want to see made. And also, like, it's nice to support people. Yay.
Like our conference, which you should register
It all
for.
comes back to Chapter 1Con. Their secret plan all along.
Because we have registration, early bird. We're doing our blog tour right now. It's exciting.
Oh yeah,
Yay.
You should check out our blog tour. Kira has put together an amazing blog tour. There's all kinds of giveaways and behind the scenes information on the conference, and like it's super cool.
Yay.
So if you go to our website, which is www.chapter1conference.com, and I will put that up on screen.
It's all spelled out, all nice and fancy. If you go there, it should be the second blog post right now. Is that right?
Yeah, it should be the second blog post down.
Yes. And it's got a list of all of the tour stops and the general idea of what each of them, like what we're doing at each of them. So you can follow along, and giveaways. Conference. Wow, you've got a lot of Chapter 1 going.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I like accidentally clicked and it just went everywhere.
Julia is an Oreo, which is funny because she can't eat those.
Anyway, yeah, so you should check out the blog tour. You should register for the conference if you're interested in learning about writing as a young writer from young writers. And also, if you're interested in getting involved in the publishing industry in other ways, we will have information on that available. Because like Kira and me and several of our speakers are pursuing the publishing industry besides writing. And
I don't actually know what I'm doing, but yeah.
Well, yeah. But like I've interned for a literary agent before. Taryn Albright is currently interning, like we said, for Disney Hyperion. So if you want to learn about like editing and that kind of stuff too, like you'll have opportunities to learn about that at the conference. And just like how to be involved in the publishing industry in general, we can help you with that. If you don't write novels, we can talk to you about other stuff too. Obviously the sessions are gonna be focused on novels, but like I've written a billion short stories at this point. I can tell you all about that. So if you want to talk to someone about short stories or songs or poetry or memoirs or anything, like we do all these types of writing. We love if you do those types of writing. So it's super awesome if you're interested in joining us. So yeah, you can find the conference name on my face all over the place on my screen because I don't know how to use this app very well. So registration is open right now. It's currently $39.99 for our early bird price, and that includes the entire day of the conference, including 2 writing workshops. And
it's a very good deal, I promise. Like really it is.
And you can check out our speakers and our schedule and all that stuff online. If you register now for the conference, like so you have the early bird registration fee. And then we also have opportunities to get a discount rate on the hotel where the conference is taking place at. And also, we don't have it up on the website yet, but on the day of the conference, we're going to be ordering in Jimmy John's, where anyone who wants to pay for their own Jimmy John's, like we'll do a mass order and have all the food come in together. And probably some of the speakers will be eating with us, and you can like hang out with them at lunch, which would be cool. Camp Zink has agreed to do a book signing at the end of the conference.
Oh.
So you can get your Cat Sang book signed by her, and I'm sure the other speakers would love to talk to you once the conference is over as well.
Yeah.
Also, literary agent Louise Fury of the Bent Agency, who is Ava J's agent, is going to be opening to query letters for 30 days after the conference from conference participants. So what you can do is you can come to the conference and like learn about publishing, learn about writing, fix up your book, fix up your query letter, query Louise Fury. For all we know, you'll be teaching at the conference next year. Like, how cool would that be?
And in the middle of it, you get to have so much fun hanging out with other young writers with similar interests. It's great, like really great.
Literally the best thing ever, and I'm not using literally out of context here. Like literally, it is the best thing ever. It's one of the highlights of my year. I love doing this conference. I love meeting the people who come. I hope you can come and we can hang out, and it's so cool, and it's like just outside of downtown Chicago, so it's super easy to take the train into downtown if you want to like do fun stuff there. Like, Chicago's a great city, and yeah, you should come. Anything else you want to add to that spiel, Kira?
Heart.
All right.
I love you. Come to the conference because I love you.
And on that note, we are going to call it a night and both go to sleep because we are exhausted. Thank you for joining us tonight. We had a lot of fun discussing film adaptations. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to make any other comments about film adaptations or anything like that, you can still tweet at us using hashtag Ch1Con, and we'll answer any questions or talk to you, whatever you want to do on Twitter. Or you can email us at chapter1conference@aol.com. It's the same thing as this thing here. But
with an AOL
address, it's got AOL in it. It's pretty nifty. Or you can comment on our blog, which is on our website, or like anything. Like, we love talking to people, as you can tell. So
we just love talking.
Basically, that is what it is. Anyway, so I am going to sign off now and go to sleep. So thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you next month. And we should have more Twitter chats coming for you soon. This was the last event for April, but May should be packed with stuff going on. Oh, but one last thing. If you're going to be at Book Expo America or BookCon, I will be there along with my roommate Hannah, and possibly a couple other representatives from Chapter 1Con, and possibly Teens Can Write too.
So sad.
Our partner site. So if you want to like hang out with us there, like, let me know. I'm thinking of setting up like a Teens Can Write 2 meetup. I feel like that could be fun. So
and I will just be all sad over here on the West Coast-ish. Doing my homework.
And the one last other thing is that we're gonna be starting a movie watching thing soon with Chapter 1Con, where we live tweet random movies, which I feel like this is a great time to mention that because we're discussing film adaptations. Okay, and on that note, I am officially done for the night. Thank you for joining us. This was great fun, and I'm going to sleep. So, bye!